Morning, 5 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. 49 degrees now. Could get stormy around here later on today. We've got the forecast just ahead, and there is a traffic note to let you know about this morning. The westbound lanes of 24 are pretty slow around exit 81. That's at Church Street. There's a tractor trailer that is blocking a right lane. It's sticking out into that lane. Be careful as you go around it. In the news, the Trump administration now extending its federal buyout offers to the workforce at the CIA. Employees at that spy agency also being given the option to resign with 8 months' pay.
The CIA is now offering buyouts to its entire staff, the latest move in President Trump's push to downsize the government. It follows a similar offer to civilian federal workers last month. About 20,000 of those workers have now accepted the buyout ahead of tomorrow's deadline amid reports of mass layoffs to come.
A robbery, that's ABC's Lionel Moisey reporting. There was a robbery at the mall at Green Hills last night. It ended with a fatal crash, shutting down a stretch of 65 northbound. Metro Police spokesmen say a convicted felon, Omari Moore, tried to rob a man of his shopping bags from a high-end stores as he was getting into his car. Well, there was a struggle, but Omari Moore was able to take the bags and jump into a waiting Tesla with an accomplice driver. That car crashed, however, and police later found that the driver had been shot and was later declared dead. Now, Moore tossed the gun away and took off, but he was later captured. As for the man who was robbed at the mall,
we do not, at this point, have the shopper identified. He was likely scared. He fled the mall. We need to speak with him to understand exactly his point of view as to what occurred. At this point, we believe he's a victim. He was a victim of a robbery that was taking place in the parking lot of the mall. He fought back, struggled against the person who was trying to rob him of his shopping bags. At some point, a shot takes place, and this person has fled.
Now, police are hoping that the victim will come forward for questioning. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Here's Dave Packer.
The market managing to bounce back Tuesday after Wall Street shook off investor panic from President Trump's proposed tariffs over the weekend. The Dow closed 134 points higher and the S&P up 43 points. The tech-heavy Nasdaq rose 262 points thanks to gains from software company Palantir. The company's job openings fell in December to 7.6 million from the 8.2 million in November. That's a sign the labor market is cooling, but still healthy. Professional and business services companies, healthcare, finance, social assistance appear to scale back their hiring efforts, but arts, entertainment, and recreation saw a noted rise in job postings. As the country continues to battle the biggest bird flu outbreak in a decade, Waffle House announced they'll be implementing a temporary surcharge to customers to offset the rising cost of eggs. The company released a statement saying, while we hope these price fluctuations will be short-lived, we cannot predict how long this shortage will last. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Dow futures this morning are down 88 points. We've got the Nasdaq futures minus 207. S&P futures, they're down 34. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Still out there, 24, the westbound lanes at Church Street, exit 81. It's a tractor trailer that's blocking a right lane and traffic being directed around it. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.507 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand filling in for Dan Mandis. Dan is getting his other eye cut open today.
Could you be a little kinder about it?
Wait, very blunt to start the show.
What? Isn't that what they're doing?
I don't think they're cutting it open.
Well,
I think they're just like scraping the top.
You're
of
right.
It.
Oh, well,
You're
that's
right.
better.
They're just
Thanks.
using a metal instrument to scrape his eye.
Yeah, that's what happened to me, and I survived.
So Dan's going to be no glasses pretty soon.
Yeah, no glasses, no patch, no nothing.
I know. I'm excited to see Pirate Dan tomorrow, though. I missed Pirate Dan the last time.
He's not going to be
not gonna
Pirate
wear it.
Dan.
He's not going to wear it?
No.
We talked to him after the show. He straight up refused
Why?
because we made fun of him.
The people demand Pirate Dan.
I think we still might wear our patches.
Oh, you
I think
are
should- Did you save yours?
I'll have to find it.
Oh my
You have to wear
gosh.
your patches in solidarity.
Absolutely, even if he doesn't do it.
He should wear the patch. I like the patch. And he won't have to have the glasses on top of them anymore.
Right.
That's the big deal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of news going on, and I was talking with Joan before the show. It seems like it's just been nonstop. The left, people are saying, they're overwhelmed. The media's complaining, and it's like, this is the strategy. The strategy seems to be working. And yesterday, we got news that Trump wants to own the Gaza Strip.
It's crazy.
I don't know. I don't know where to go with this. It's just, it was such a proclamation that, I don't know about you, but even Bibi Netanyahu looked a little bit surprised that Trump said it the way he did.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different.
Trump Towers now coming to Gaza. It's wild. Listen, I'm doubtful that this will end up like the $230 million pier that Biden and his administration installed and then was barely used before then being dismantled. But I like the idea of the U.S. having a hand in this. I think peace, that is, not another forever war. I don't want to be involved in another forever war, but I do think that the idea of us having a hand in this is, it could lead to peace. Again, Bibi Netanyahu looks surprised. I wonder how much he knew about this beforehand. I'm sure he got the gist of it, but he looked a bit shocked the way Trump just laid it all out on the line. I'm reading the reactions on Twitter. Somebody said it's a good solution, a constant presence in deterring terrorism. It also forces the other Arab nations to actively participate to bring peace and ask themselves, do we really want a permanent American presence in the Middle East? Eric Daugherty, he echoed the same thing. What if the U.S. is going to own Gaza comments are just meant to get the neighboring Arab countries to frantically decide, wait, what? We'll own it. We'll develop it. You guys stay out. Maybe that's the plan. It is the art of the deal in real time, though. Trump throws out an outlandish claim statement and says, okay, we'll negotiate from here. This is where we start the negotiations. Currently, the U.S. is going to own Gaza. I'm listening to your idea. if we own Gaza, I think it leaves the Palestinians that stay, if some stay, in a better spot than if Israel was in control. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. There are a lot of civilians, women and children dying there currently. And this conflict goes back so far that Israel has no remorse for that. And, on the other side, the Palestinians have no remorse for Israel either. I don't want to get it twisted. But when I hear Trump at this press conference, almost he does this so often. He humanizes the other side instead of dehumanizing the other side. And I think that always is a better way towards peace. And Trump is the guy to get the job done. I mean, the Abraham Accords are a perfect point that we can look at and say he's done it once. He's already been here. Now, how we build towards peace, I'm not exactly sure. But I think we can all understand that the killing of women and children is wrong. Human shields are not. And I've been looking for an opportunity to play this clip from Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan, where this was a fantastic interview, by the way. This came out a couple weeks ago, where they're talking about just the bloodshed that's happened in Gaza with the Palestinian women and children, and it's one of those things that we have to stop it. And by any means necessary, we got to figure out a way to stop this. I think Trump is trying to work towards that.
If you're intentionally killing civilians, you probably shouldn't beat your chest and brag about it. Maybe you could make the case,
with that.
Maybe you make the case that we had to do it or whatever, but you should.
I agree.
You should weep, and that's evil, and you should just say it's evil. And I know it's really threatening to.
Is it evil, though?
Ben Shapiro to say that or whatever, but
is it evil?
To kill civilians on purpose? Yeah, it is. I think it is.
Really?
Kids and children. Well, how is it not, actually?
In a war?
Well, you can call it whatever you want. How is it right to kill women and children?
I didn't say, because I think there is a moral right behind you if you are literally...
To kill women and children?
If there's a world war that threatens if it threatens the entire world, yes.
Some people killed your kids, like your 8-year-old? Like,
obviously
how
it's your
is
own
that
children.
morally justifiable?
Well, because actually you have to... Well, by your criteria...
It's disgusting.
Okay, so no war is morally justified.
I mean, I think it's pretty hard to justify... I mean, yeah, I'm
Any
sure...
war.
A pure defensive action, sure. But all I'm saying, look, it's all ugly. It's all hard to stomach. I've actually seen some of it up close. Super ugly.
You can say that. You say you hate it.
May I finish?
The fact you quibble with it being morally justified.
To intentionally kill non-combatants, women and children, I think we can say that's wrong. In fact, I thought that was the thing we were fighting against.
Yeah, I do. I think it's wrong as well. That being said, we still have hostages in there that we need to get back to Israel. We need to get those hostages returned immediately. And Israel has every right to be doing what they're doing. I don't want to be involved in it. I would love to be involved in a peace process. Now there's the talk about resettlement and where do these people go? And Trump talked about resettlement as well. I don't know if Egypt or Jordan are really going to hop on that train. They denied Biden, but let's be honest, that's Biden. Trump can probably negotiate a better deal than that. But this is going to be an uphill battle. If anybody can do it, I think it's Trump. I do think he's the president of peace, and I believe him when he says he wants peace and stability in the region. I think that out of anybody that we've ever had in office, he gives us our best shot. But he goes a bit further, and he talks a little bit more about full ownership of the Gaza Strip, and we'll play that right after we check the roads right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, they've still got the right lane blocked off on 24 westbound at Church Street for a tractor trailer that's sticking out partially into the roadway. Also in Antioch, Murfreesboro Pike at Hobson Pike, that's a crash scene as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. It is 6:15 or 5:15, geez, and high of 62 today. I think we're going to have a better chance of rain starting after 2 o'clock. Donald Trump says the United States is considering full ownership of the Gaza Strip.
Talking tonight about the United States taking over a sovereign territory. What authority would allow you to do that? Are you talking about a permanent occupation there, redevelopment? And Mr. Prime Minister, do you see this idea as a way to expand the boundaries of Israel and to have a longer peace, even though the Israeli people know how important that land is to you and your citizens, just as the space is inherited by the Palestinians as well?
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. And everybody I've spoken to, this was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent in a really magnificent area that nobody would know. Nobody can look because all they see is death and destruction and rubble and demolished buildings falling all over. It's just a terrible sight. I've studied it. I've studied this very closely over a lot of months, and I've seen it from every different angle. And it's a very, very dangerous place to be, and it's only going to get worse.
I mean, I think that's the truth. If we don't do something now, yeah, it absolutely is going to get worse. I like Trump at least bringing new ideas to the table. I don't like the idea of another long-standing occupation, but I do think maybe this is just the art of the deal in real time. Maybe this is just the jumping off point. Maybe this makes Arab nations like Saudi Arabia and Egypt go, we don't really want you guys here long term. We'll step in and help redevelop this area because it's got to be redeveloped. If you look at what it is there now, it's nothing. I mean, it's crazy. Something's got to happen. Something's got to give. Trump at least is looking for solutions where I don't even think Biden was looking for the hostages.
And I think this is an idea that's gotten tremendous, and I'm talking about from the highest level of leadership, gotten tremendous praise. And if the United States can help to bring stability and peace in the Middle East, we'll do that. Bibi?
I mentioned again tonight our three goals. And the third goal is to make sure that Gaza never poses a threat to Israel again. President Trump is taking it to a much higher level. He sees a different future for that piece of land that has been the focus of so much terrorism, so many attacks against us, so many trials and so many tribulations. He has a different idea. And I think it's worth paying attention to this. We're talking about it. He's exploring it with his people, with his staff. I think it's something that could change history. And it's worthwhile really pursuing this avenue.
It absolutely could change history. There's no doubt about that. If they resettle these people, if they rebuild that land, yeah, that's history changing. I don't know how you resettle all those people. I don't know where you resettle all those people. That's a huge question mark that still needs to be figured out. But Trump is the guy to do it. And then at one point he said Gaza could be the Riviera of the Middle East. And I don't know if you've seen pictures of Gaza lately. It's hard to picture that.
Opportunity to do something that could be phenomenal. And I don't want to be cute. I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be so bad. This could be so magnificent. But more importantly than that is the people that have been absolutely destroyed that live there now can live in peace in a much better situation because they're living in hell. And those people will now be able to live in peace. We'll make sure that it's done world class. It'll be wonderful for the people. Palestinians mostly we're talking about. And I have a feeling that despite them saying no, I have a feeling that the king in Jordan and that the general president, but that the general in Egypt will open their hearts and will give us the kind of land that we need to get this done. And people can live in harmony and in peace. Thank you all very much.
Again, I think this is one of his biggest strengths, the humanizing of people as opposed to dehumanizing them, and I think that's what helps lead to peace. You know, Egypt and Saudi Arabia are already essentially saying, yeah, we're going to pass on that, but we'll see what happens. This is just the beginning, and at least he's come to the table with some ideas. And these ideas, they're pissing a lot of people off on both sides of the aisle, understandably so. I think this is the one issue where no matter what stance you take, you're pissing somebody off. But Israel should want to end this too. They should want peace too. They've dealt with enough bloodshed, enough hardships, enough loss, enough devastation. But Trump essentially said Palestinians would need to go elsewhere, at least until Gaza is rebuilt. And that dream is a decade plus out. So I wonder where they go. Trump said Egypt, Jordan. Again, I don't think they take them up on that. I don't. But I wonder with the U.S. in control of that area, if that would build a bridge to peace for some of the civilians to stay, not Hamas, obviously. And I understand that gets dicey because you know how it is. They support Hamas. They indoctrinate their kids via Hamas. But it's a wild press conference that took place yesterday. And immediately following, people took to the streets, and it's like they got their new talking points essentially immediately.
Donald Trump stated the following: the United States will take over the Gaza Strip.
I saw your eyes just roll in the back of your head as soon as I played that.
As soon as I hear that woman yelling, my brain shuts off.
Do you not want peace? I just don't understand. Because the reality is, for the people that are like, we need to free Palestine and we need to own Gaza. Okay, you can rule over rubble, or you're staring down the barrel of a genocide if you let Israel go full bore. Like, what are you doing?
How dare Trump try to stop bloodshed?
Honestly. And this woman wouldn't have the right to speak in Gaza. If she had a megaphone and was saying this exact statement in Gaza, as she says, she would be beheaded. It's because, you're not allowed to talk out of turn.
Let's make one thing loud and clear to Donald Trump, to Netanyahu, and to the Zionist entity: Gaza is not for sale.
She's got a sore throat today.
Yeah, honestly. It's 522 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
President Trump takes the world by surprise with one of his big ideas last night and a bill introduced in the state legislature that could completely change the way Tennessee schools are run. Those stories and more coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 527 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's Chris and in for Dan Mandis as they slice open his eye this morning to remove a cataract.
Are we just going to get really detailed as we get further into the show? Just as soon, like...
By the end of the show, I'm going to have them removing his eye and turning it around so
like
he can see
Final
himself.
Destination style?
Yeah.
Who's taking over your show on coming after you?
Brian Wilson's back in the saddle.
Oh, nice.
Everybody said he sounded so good over hip-hop instrumentals that they needed him back in that chair.
Guarantee when he said I guarantee he's going like, oh, don't listen to that crap again.
I swear, dude, he sounded really good over hip-hop beats.
I bet he did. I mean, his voice is, he has a good radio voice.
It flowed. It
that
flowed
makes
really
perfect
well.
sense.
All right, so Brian's going to be in. Dan will be back tomorrow. The news tease was that Trump made a big announcement. It was a massive announcement. The U.S. to own the Gaza Strip. Again, I think it's the art of the deal in real time. No Arab country wants a permanent American presence right there in the heart of the Middle East. They don't. But Trump makes the case that Israel should want this peace as much as Gaza.
The past 16 months, Israel has endured a sustained, aggressive, and murderous assault on every front, but they fought back bravely. You see that, and you know that. What we have witnessed is an all-out attack on the very existence of a Jewish state in the Jewish homeland. The Israelis have stood strong and united in the face of an enemy that has kidnapped, tortured, raped, and slaughtered innocent men, women, children, and even little babies. I want to salute the Israeli people for meeting this trial with courage and determination and unflinching resolve. They have been strong. In our meetings today, the Prime Minister and I focused on the future, discussing how we can work together to ensure Hamas is eliminated and ultimately restore peace to a very troubled region.
The goal is peace. It sounds easy, very, very complicated. But if anybody can do it, I honestly think it's Donald J. Trump. And that's not an exaggeration. I truly believe if anybody can bring peace to that region, it's going to be Trump. It's 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, good morning. It's now 5:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Yeah, there is still a tractor trailer sticking out into the right lane on 24 westbound at Church Street this morning. They're working on it, but still taking a while to clear it away. We've also got some storms headed our way today, so traffic and weather right after the news. Stick around. President Trump surprised the nation, perhaps the world last night, with his idea to permanently relocate 2 million people living on the Gaza Strip so the U.S. could redevelop that land.
Truckloads of tents and tarps are arriving. Trump critics say this is proof Palestinians do not want to leave, but Netanyahu praising Trump's proposal.
You say things others refuse to say, and after the jaws drop, people scratch their heads and they say, he's right. This is the kind of thinking that will reshape the Middle East and bring peace.
High on the agenda for Trump and Netanyahu is a potential deal to normalize relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia. But overnight, Saudi officials said that won't happen without the establishment of an independent Palestinian state.
That's ABC's Christiane Cordero. It is day one at the office for newly confirmed Attorney General Pam Bondi. In her first day at the Justice Department, CNN reports Bondi, as expected, will take a series of actions to investigate and undo legal moves from the Biden administration. Meantime, ABC's Rachel Scott reports the rest of the Trump nominees appear to be on track as well.
It seems like every single one of President Trump's nominees, regardless of how controversial they are, regardless of how many tough questions they got even from Republicans, they're on track to be confirmed by the United States Senate.
Now, a new bill filed in the Tennessee General Assembly would allow schools to opt out of enrolling undocumented students. House Leader William Lamberth sponsored that bill. It comes weeks after the Rutherford County School Board passed a resolution urging Tennessee leaders to expedite the closure of the nation's borders. The board there saying with so many English as a second language students in the school, there is exceptional financial pressure on school systems. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Still there, the crash in the right lane of 24 westbound at Church Street. It's blocking the right lane, and that's a tractor trailer sticking out into the roadway. Also, a crash Murfreesboro Pike at Hobson Pike. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.536 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand filling in for Dan Mandis as a scalpel pierces his cornea.
Yikes. Honestly, people haven't even had their Cheerios yet.
I said I was going to keep ratcheting it up.
You have 4 hours to
I know. I'm accelerating quick.
You have to give it some time.
Whatever happened to like prayers for his recovery and
I mean, what?
Of
course.
We'll get to that when he's in recovery.
He's gonna be fine. It's a routine procedure. It's not like he's having heart surgery or anything.
Okay.
What could go wrong?
If it was hair plugs, then we would do our thoughts and prayers.
No, seriously, what could go wrong? Does anybody know? We should run through the what could go wrong.
The doctor could fall asleep and accidentally pierce his eye.
I think blindness would be one of the things that could go wrong.
perfect. I hope he's not listening.
Well, the thing is, so throughout like him getting this procedure, people have actually put in the text line like, "Hey, I was with Dr. Horn," and they say nothing but good things. So I think he's getting the best around. So
People
I think he's
love
gonna
Dr.
be fine.
Horn.
People act like legitimate, like it's.
I just worry about Mandis flinching. You know what I mean? Like I don't think the doctor's gonna have shaky hands. But
I think he got put under last time, like
he'll be
somewhat.
under.
See, when I had my procedure done, because mine was a cornea thing, I had to be awake,
yeah,
and that is horrifying.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with that.
And I remember the doctor going, "Why are you squirming?" I'm like, "What do you mean?"
There's a blade coming towards my
yeah,
eyes.
I don't.
Sir.
I honestly, the second time they did it, I don't think I was numbed up enough. But continue.
Yeah, well, that's Dan. That's where he's at.
What time is his appointment? It's like at 8 o'clock or something like that, right?
Yeah,
Something like that.
He's probably pacing around his house right now.
He's probably listening, pacing faster right now.
No, he's asleep. He's actually like, oh my god, I get to sleep in somewhere.
There is
I know.
no way he's asleep.
Nope.
Yeah.
Sleeping in for Mandis is like 3:30.
It absolutely is because he tells me he's always awake at like midnight.
Dan, don't worry about the sharp blade that's going to be coming towards your eye later.
Yeah, don't think about Final Destination 5, I think, where the woman's getting this done and there's a laser moving into her eye and it pops out.
Yeah.
Don't think about that also.
Don't think about it.
Yeah, you're good.
You probably know who's seen Final Destination 5 besides Jeff Malinoff.
Yeah, I've never even heard of it.
The first Final Destination movie was pretty good.
No, they're good. I just remember, I don't know why. My buddies were like, I think it was in college, and we're all just like, dude, let's just binge watch Final Destination. And we're all just like stupid kids. We're like, oh, that sounds awesome. And then we're all just like afterwards like, oh, it gets bad. Like it's really bad.
Yep. All right, so Trump is going to the Super Bowl. First ever president to do so. Who do you think
Can you imagine the security detail?
Yeah, he's the first ever president to do so. Yeah, the security's going to be wild.
Yeah.
Who do you think he's rooting for, Joan?
Oh, he's rooting for the Eagles. What are you talking about? There's not even a question.
He's
a New Yorker. He hates the Eagles. There's no way.
This is true. I think he just hopes both teams lose.
I'm on that as well.
Just stop it, both of you.
Is anybody besides Joan going to be watching the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I have.
My family.
Okay.
I'm like, since I have this hours now, I might legitimately go to sleep like as the game starts. Like,
there's a lot of people here from the Philadelphia area.
I know. I keep asking them to go home. I say it often.
I will not go home.
We're full.
If they tell me they hate Nick Sirianni, then I'm like, okay, you're fine.
Yeah, he's the first president to ever go to the Super Bowl. So that's pretty cool.
Good for him.
They're removing the end racism from the end zones.
Which is crazy cool.
Which means racism begins again.
Yeah, how are we going to stop racism now, Joan?
Yeah, it's going to start anew.
You don't look at that and go, you know what, I got to change my life. That end zone, that little 10 by 10 logo.
The thought of it's being held in New Orleans, where on New Year's Day, a guy drove his truck through a crowd. There's a lot of concern about security.
No, 100%. Sure. And if you look at the reporting, too, I thought it was just a truck that went through the crowd.
Not a person behind the truck?
No, it's always truck drives through crowd.
Oh, yeah. Right.
That terrorist attack has disappeared from the news cycle.
Yeah.
So fast.
Unbelievably
They better
fast.
have those barriers up because remember those were down when that happened. They better be up 24/7.
The bollards.
And they had yellow archers in the back in storage that they could have put out anyway, and they never did.
You notice how all like terrorism attacks, it all comes down to laziness?
It really does. Not being vigilant.
Yeah. Just, it'll be fine. No, there's people here. Let's let's try to keep them alive.
It's the lack of imagination that they talked about after 9/11.
Yeah, honestly.
Or 9/11. Yeah.
But so end racism is going to be out of the end zone, and they're replacing it with choose love.
They are? Are they seriously?
Yep.
Choose love.
I think Red Eye also reported it as well. They were. I was listening to them coming in.
One side is going to be choose love.
So stupid.
And then the other side is going to say, it takes all of us.
And just in the corner, like vote Democrat.
In my humble opinion, they might as well have just left up end racism.
Choose love, Joan.
I do.
What's the other
Stop
option?
all of this.
I guess, can the other side just say choose hate? Just give us options, you know?
I just don't understand why they feel like that's their opportunity. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense having any words in the end zone.
They have in the back of the helmets also, that under part of the helmet, they always have like a message. Like, remember at 2020, it had Black Lives Matter, it had end racism.
Reminds me, do you ever see Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking juice in the hood? You ever see that?
That is the longest movie title I've ever heard in my life.
It was like the first parody movie. Like, you remember Scary Movie?
Yeah.
So, Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood was a Wayans Brother parody of all of your, like, Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society and da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
But one of the Wayans brothers would randomly pop up and go, message! and that's what I feel like
Roger
whenever
Goodell's going to do that during a commercial. Message! We're not racist.
Can you say the name of that movie again?
Don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
Don't be a menace.
We need more long title movies like that.
Both of you should watch that this weekend. It would
Wayne's Brothers I like.
I put Don't Be a Menace in, and the screen filled automatically with Don't Be a Menace.
To South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. It's one of the best. It is one of the best movies ever.
Is our computer hearing us? Because I didn't even need to say menace. I said don't be a, and it popped up.
That's what I'm saying.
They're
Same
listening.
thing.
They're listening.
They are listening. Oh, I have seen this.
Yeah, it's
sorry. I just
it's one of those movies. I think everybody's seen it. You just forget about it.
The Waynes, those guys are hysterical.
They're so funny. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's better than Final Destination 5. I'm just going to go on a record and say that.
Everything's better. Everything is better than Final Destination 5.
I just don't know how we're going to, not forget George Floyd and the sacrifice he made without end racism in the end zone.
That's how it started. Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that nuts?
And they made statues of the guy, too.
Oh, yeah. And then God hit that one mural with lightning. Do you remember that?
Yes. The best? That was...
Yeah. That was awesome. All right. And then there are NFL fans calling to boycott the Super Bowl over not the Eagles being there, though some may.
I will.
Move on.
Actually, I'll be more protesting the Chiefs in it, but continue.
ESGLSES Eagles. They're calling for the boycott over the Black National Anthem playing.
Wait, they are going to play the Black National Anthem again?
Oh, yeah.
I think in the last Super Bowl.
The Blantham, if you will.
The last Super Bowl they did, but I don't think they aired it. I think it was just for the stadium. It wasn't on TV. I could be wrong, though.
My question is, if the Black National Anthem is going to cause a boycott, where the heck have you been these last few years with the NFL? Like you said, the end racism started when George Floyd happened.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. Like, you either deal with it, like grit your teeth and bear it at this point with the NFL because you know what they're all about, or you already started boycotting the NFL years ago.
Yeah.
Why would you boycott now over the Black National Anthem? It feels lazy.
And guess what? I hate to say it. This will mean nothing for viewership. This will mean nothing for ratings. This boycott will accomplish nothing because the Super Bowl is that one thing where it's on every television in the world, regardless of political affiliation. It's just one of those events that just will always garner attention.
Yeah, and it's going to be the sex trafficking capital of the world come this weekend,
especially in New Orleans.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness, that is a recipe for disaster. And
It's
then next
insane.
year it's in Santa Clara, so it's in California, and they're not going to do anything about it.
No, it's just a mess. A lot of that's the mess. So Trump is going, first president to go there. Joe Biden, do you know what he's been up to lately?
Falling asleep?
No, he signed with a talent agency.
Think about Joe Biden signing on with a talent agency.
You got to be kidding. He signed on with a talent agency?
He does. He's got some entertainment agents now.
I think he's got bigger problems than that. I really do. I think he's got much bigger problems than that, but I wish him well.
I wish him well.
Can I make a guess? Him saying that, I guarantee there's some journalism is like, is that a threat to Biden?
I wish him well. That's what he says when he really doesn't like somebody. But I was talking with Joan before the show. Where do you think Joe Biden, where the talent agency could book him?
The old folks' home down the street?
I was thinking a Life Alert commercial.
Yes.
Yeah, he already did that commercial for Visiting Angels.
Yes.
It wasn't a real commercial, but he and Nancy, which is half the Democratic Party.
Yep.
They could all do it.
Adult diapers, he would make a
Oh,
fortune
there
on.
you go.
Adult diapers. That's a good one.
Adult daycare centers. He could do
Adult
commercials
daycare
for that.
centers.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
It's like, is that for like people with dementia and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Life Alert's good. I remember.
Could you imagine him like speaking before a crowd, intelligence officials, or on the world stage?
I could picture that.
And him just, where's Jackie? She's dead, sir.
Yeah, Jackie's been dead for a while.
5 years. Move on.
Yeah. So Joe's going to be looking for a talent agency gig, and then I don't want to miss this either, but I don't know where else to play it. So this is like the perfect spot for it. During the Bibi Netanyahu Trump presser, a reporter decided to ask Trump a question, but it wasn't really the question; it was the response from Trump.
Go ahead.
Afghan suffered women as a high expectation from you. Do you have any plan to change Afghanistan situation? Are you able to recognize Taliban? Because I'm an Afghan journalist, Afghan suffered women. Any comment about Afghanistan? What's your future plan for Afghan people, especially Afghan?
I have a little hard time understanding you. Where are you from? Oh. Actually, it's a beautiful voice and a beautiful accent. The only problem is I can't understand a word you're saying. But I just say this, good luck.
That's me every time I call for help, a customer service number for any American company. That's the person I get, and I just...
And I bet that was like a legitimate question, too. It wasn't like a gotcha kind of... guarantee it was like a legitimate, like, what are you going to, like, do with...
Did you understand her? I didn't.
Well, it was something about, like, what are your plans for Afghanistan, like, stuff that's going on there. It seemed like a legitimate question.
But she's a female Afghan reporter.
Yeah, and the accent was pretty thick. I'm gonna give like it was hard to understand, but I was just like,
Well, she's a female Afghan reporter reporting in the United States.
Yes,
It's a very safe territory to do so.
You? Where are you from? Oh. Actually, it's a beautiful voice and a beautiful accent. The only problem is I can't understand a word you're saying.
At least he's honest, man. He's blunt. You got to give him credit for that.
I love it. It's like when they said, "Are you going to visit the crash site?" He's like, "In the water? Do you want me to go swimming?"
Like, imagine Biden trying to answer that question. He's like, "We'll do what we can." Where's Jackie?
But I just say this, good luck.
Good luck. Good luck.
He honestly, how he is handling questions is way better than he did the first term. It's already like you can see an improvement.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, Chris Hand in for Dan Mandis, who is going to have his eye hit with a scalpel today to have a cataract removed. And we just want to just say...
Because I can't understand a word you're saying. But I just say this, good luck.
Good luck, Dan.
Good luck.
Good luck.
You'll be fine.
We just want to say good luck.
This, good luck.
Don't look directly in the scalpel.
Don't do it. It's 5:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
better keep your eyes on the skies today, what forecasters are saying. Also, 3 school districts take some pretty drastic measures after so many kids come down with the flu. Those stories and more coming up at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 5:54 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand in for Dan Mandis, who is going to have his eye surgically repaired today.
Not removed? Is that like further down?
Yeah, I gotta scale back a little bit if I'm gonna ratchet up as the show goes on.
Transplant.
Yeah, somebody on the text line said, by the end of the show, you're gonna say that he's having an eye transplant and it's being replaced with a donkey's eye. Also, 2133 said, tell Dan I said best of luck. And then another texter said, you guys should use Don't Blink as all of your bumper music. So it's a mixed bag. Wishing you the best of luck, Dan. I heard your tease about the kids coming down with the flu.
Yeah.
We got to notice that we're the kids' preschool. We do like a 2-day-a-week thing.
Yeah.
That they don't have any subs. And that if a teacher comes down with the flu,
it's over.
They might have to just cancel class.
Yeah.
So I asked the question that anybody in their right mind would ask. I said, do we get a discount for that?
Bet they said no.
They said not. They're not doing it this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's because they have to plan.
They have to plan. So, all right, this is where we're at. This is that season. I'm dealing with it too, as you can probably hear. It's not fun.
You sound okay.
Okay.
I get it. I know you're sick, but you sound okay.
All right, perfect. The FBI, did you see what happened with them?
What now? There's so much. What now?
Okay, so they were saying you got to turn over the list of names of people that worked on J6 cases.
Mm-hmm.
So they finally turned it over. It turns out that 5,000 of their 13,000 agents were working on J6 cases.
That's a high percentage.
That's like 38%.
Is that a good use of taxpayer dollars? That's the question.
Is that weaponized government?
That's the other question.
I feel like that's weaponized government.
How many of them are becoming Patriot or whatever, the Proud Boys? How many of them are those guys?
I always joke. You ever see the memes online? It's like, this is the meme that will red pill the FBI agent assigned to me.
Yeah.
I wonder how many of them have been red pilled on this. So FBI officials yesterday sent a list of thousands of employees who worked on J6 related investigations to the Department of Justice. This comes after several FBI employees the same day sued the DOJ over accusations of violations of the Constitution and privacy laws. Sources familiar with the matter told CNN that 5,000 names were submitted to the DOJ. There's 38,000 employees, which is what they're fluffing this with, but there's only 13,000 agents. So you had 5,000 agents out of the 13,000.
That's incredible.
Isn't that insane?
And how many J6s are there? Like a couple dozen?
What about all the rest of the crime that they're supposed to investigate?
They weren't worried about it.
What about 2020's Summer of Love? I feel like that should... No, forget it.
Not a big deal.
I'm ramming my head into a brick wall.
What about the current protesters shutting down the 101 freeway because they want to wave their Mexican flags and not be deported?
And how about the kid that tried to kill the president?
Who?
Yeah.
I don't know if that happened. I think that was a conspiracy theory.
Which time?
I heard he was just trying to shoot a teleprompter. So I don't
Keith
know.
Olbermann's thinking Trump wasn't even shot. That psychopath.
Christopher Wray.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
And you can look at pictures from Butler in the immediate aftermath while Trump is on the ground, and you have two perfectly fine teleprompters standing up.
Yeah.
Like, it was probably a shard of glass.
You would see it shatter in real time.
Well,
but what do we know?
Listen, if they didn't have to have FBI agents hosing off crime scenes, they would have had more agents on the J6 cases. Because, they hosed the blood off the roof in Butler, Pennsylvania, like that day.
It was like in the first hour. It was like something insanely
it was
quick.
Too slopey. How could they have gotten up there?
It was way too slopey. And then we never got answers for why this young kid had a no social media presence.
No social media presence, right.
And remember the news that his home was like weirdly sterile with no silverware?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing to
parents?
be found.
I know he has parents because they raided their home, allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah.
Where did they go? What happened to them?
We're gonna have some answers at some point.
I hope so.
Lord willing. Pam Bondi got confirmed.
One step closer.
One step closer. Then we got to get Cash Patel in there. And I'm not really shocked about the 5,000 agents working on J6 cases. What I want to know is how many of those agents were in the crowd. I want to
Yes.
know the names and the details of the 26 confidential human sources that were in the crowd on J6. And Lord willing, when we get Cash Patel in there, we'll get some answers. It is 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey there, it's 6 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top story. Still got that tractor trailer sticking out in the roadway on 24 westbound at Church Street. Got to drive around it, causing a lot of delays. Got a heads up for what could be a stormy afternoon from our friend Stefano DiPietro over at Channel 4.
A couple of strong thunderstorms develop later on today with heavier rainfall, gusty wind, and I still totally can't say no to an isolated tornado that is an extremely low-end threat, really not that big of a concern, but of course it's something we won't ignore.
We'll keep our eye on the forecast all throughout the day. Well, so many kids have gotten sick in several Middle Tennessee school districts. They're closing the doors. Lebanon Public Schools and those in Houston and Lincoln counties, they're closed through Friday in an effort to stop the spread of the flu-like illness and scrub down the surfaces there. All are hoping to open fully again on Monday. The bad news continues for USAID.
The embattled federal agency USAID has announced that every employee, except for core leadership and mission-critical staff, will be placed on administrative leave by the end of the week. Officials posted abroad are expected to be recalled within the month, as sources say the Trump administration is looking to slash the agency's employee count by around 70%. Shannon Kingston, ABC News.
And the education department looks like it's on shaky ground as well with the president.
President Trump has campaigned on this. It has been a promise of his for years. And conservatives are saying that the Department of Education is just spending too much money. It has a budget of over $200 billion. And they say over the 40 years that the department has been open, it's been spending all of this money on students without the adequate results from the students.
That's ABC's education reporter Arthur Jones II. In fact, the latest Nation's report card showed American children have continued losing ground on reading and have made little improvement in math, sending the U.S. to the bottom of the pack in the developed world. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Here's Jim Ryan.
The Dow Jones added 134 points to close at 44,556. The S&P picked up 0.75%. The Nasdaq was unchanged. Apple shares fell overnight on word that Chinese regulators are considering a formal probe into App Store fees and policies. Apple was off more than 2.5% in pre-market trading in London. Getting eggs with your waffles at Waffle House will cost extra. The chain says rising egg prices are forcing it to add a 50-cent per egg surcharge. Bird flu outbreaks have forced the slaughter of millions of laying hens. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
We've got some losses on the futures market. Dow futures down 64, NASDAQ futures down 180, S&P futures, they're down 28 points. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Well, police are working on it, trying to clear away that tractor trailer that's sitting in the right lane on 24 westbound at Church Street. You're going to have to go around it. There is a delay behind it as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.606 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand filling in for Dan Mandis. He's undergoing eye surgery today, getting that 20/20 vision in place thanks to his friends over at Dr. Horn's office. Shout out to Dan. A mutual friend, we were joking, is Dan listening? Is he up? A mutual friend said, he's up, but he's not listening. I said, he doesn't want to listen to me butcher the show.
Is that Amy? Is that what...
No, it wasn't Amy. But I said he doesn't want to listen to me butcher his show. So
That's fair.
Take a day, Dan. Enjoy it. Good luck with your surgery. I also got a text that, who's filling in for you? Who's filling in for you, Chris? I said, Wilson. And I was greeted back with a, hell yeah. We felt the exact same way. Brian Wilson will be in for me starting at 9 o'clock. And in the meantime, we're getting texts that the signal's a little bit iffy in some places.
Yeah, I made some calls, so hopefully we'll get that fixed
We made some calls
shortly.
to the engineer team, but it's also a good point to say you can listen on the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, the 99.7 WTN app. There'll be no signal issues there. You can watch us live on Super Talk TV, which is on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. And while you're on the YouTube channel, hit the like button and hit subscribe. It helps us feed our kids. And if you don't want our kids to just eat bread and water, we would appreciate you liking and subscribing on our YouTube channel.
And also, if you're on the YouTube, voting in the poll.
Yeah,
we have a daily Dan poll.
We got daily. Dan's not here, but his poll is. What?
I love what you were thinking the same thing.
What's the poll today?
So it is, do you think Trump can bring peace to Israel and Gaza? And right now it's at 78% yes. So I think a lot of people are agreeing with you.
Yeah, just the optimism. I think that's one thing Trump brings to the table is a lot of optimism. It is definitely going to be an uphill battle, but if anybody is there for it, it is Donald J. Trump. We'll cover the Israel stuff more in a little bit. The FBI, we were talking about this a moment ago. They were being told you got to turn over how many agents, the list of names that were working on J6 cases. They said, we're not going to do that. They said, you have to do that. They said, we're suing you. And then, oh, by the way, here's the list. Do you know how many agents were working on the J6 cases? 5,000 of the 13,000 agents. Now, they'll fluff it, and they'll say there's 38,000 employees at the FBI, 38,000 employees, but there's only 13,000 agents, and 5,000 of those agents were working on January 6 cases for how long? How long now? Insane. That's like 38% of the agents. There was no other crime going on. Nothing else to worry about. This is the kind of rot that we need to get rid of in our federal institutions. This is what makes the left just go absolutely unhinged when we're trying to get to the bottom of all this rot. And we are going to get to the bottom of the rot. Make no mistake about it. Pam Bondi was confirmed yesterday. She's going to be a fantastic addition. We're going to get Kash Patel confirmed. I feel confident about Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. getting confirmed. They passed their smaller votes yesterday. They're going to the larger votes, and I think that's going to be a done deal. We're changing things in real time very, very quickly. And the CIA was just offered the same buyout as many of the other federal employees were.
Fox News alert, the Wall Street Journal is reporting the CIA has reportedly just offered a buyout to its entire workforce. Everyone in the agencies telling employees late today they can quit their jobs and receive about 8 months of pay and benefits. It's a part of Trump's push to downsize the federal government, more as we get it.
8 months of pay. Might sound like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, that's going to save the federal government a lot of money. Even if only, 25% of the CIA officials take it. I would take it. Would you take it? 8 months free? Why not? Why not? So the CIA is now being offered the same buyouts that a lot of the federal workforce has been offered. They were told that on Tuesday. They offered all of the employees these buyouts that were previously extended to millions of federal workers. The buyouts would provide about 8 months of pay and benefits in exchange for their resignations. Administration officials indicated that the intelligence agency decided to offer the buyouts as part of an effort to bring the CIA more in line with President Trump's priorities, according to the Wall Street Journal. The same package was extended to more than 2 million civilian federal employees last month, but exempted workers with national security roles. Government employees have until 11:59 p.m. on Thursday to accept the buyout offer, which the Office of Personnel Management says won't be extended. It's unclear if the CIA officials have CIA employees have the same deadline. The agency is also putting a pause on hiring and reviewing conditional job offers to ensure they align with the new intelligence services' new goals, including combating drug cartels, countering China, and aid to newly minted CIA Director John Ratcliffe told the Wall Street Journal. The spy agency will also put more of an emphasis on the Western Hemisphere and target nations not traditionally viewed as U.S. adversaries, according to the aide. The aide also suggested under Trump, the CIA could use espionage to give the president more leverage in trade negotiations with Mexico's government and use its agents to fight Mexican drug cartels. It's definitely getting more in line with Donald Trump and his goals, his agenda. That's what we need. That's what the American people voted for. That's what he got with the mandate from the American public. We want all of our government institutions working in line with the president, right? We don't want them working against him like they did in the first term. Could you imagine what that first term would have looked like if he had everybody working with him instead of against him? For all intents and purposes, the first term was massively successful, even with the resistance that he received. Could you imagine what it would have been like if everybody was working with him? Insanity. It seems like this time we're going to get that. And meanwhile, the news is just too much. It's coming too quick, too fast. And establishment media, they're upset about it. They say, Donald Trump is flooding the zone. It's nightmare over and over again. This is from Breitbart. President Donald Trump is flooding the zone with swift action that is overwhelming the establishment media, which appears unable, ill-equipped, or too lazy to report the flurry of action. Yeah, listen, even from our standpoint, the amount of news that is coming out of the Trump administration is hard to keep up with. I was talking with my daughter, Kennedy. She's 11. She's a bright kid. She's like, what do you do for your show? I was like, well, normally I'm like, 6 pages of prep. But these past couple weeks, I've been at like 12 to 15 pages of prep. And I have to go into every show knowing that there is absolutely no realistic way I'm going to get to everything. So I try to like listen to Dan a little bit and kind of fill the holes where he may have not talked about something, or, pray that Murphy or Benson gets what I missed, because there's just too much to cover. There's just way too much to cover. Opinionists at major news outlets have begun whining about their newsroom's inability to keep up with the increased flow of Trump's executive orders, newsworthy comments, and changes within federal agencies. Just in the past few days, Trump has fired DOJ officials, planned to close the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, deported hundreds of illegal aliens, placed tariffs on Canada and Mexico, then paused them, and signed the Lincoln Riley Act into law. There is so much winning out of the Trump White House that the mainstream legacy media can't keep up with it, Carolyn Levitt said on Monday. I mean, let's be honest. 2 weeks in, End Wokeness on Twitter has this. 2 weeks in, Mexico caved, Panama caved, Colombia caved, Venezuela caved, Canada panicked, then caved. Mass deportations, hostages are home, DEI programs ended, bureaucracy slashed, FBI purges underway, U.S. aid funding canceled, gender ideology canceled as well. Doge saving billions. 51 intel agents lost clearance. Border crossings dropped by 93%. The reservoirs filled up in California, just to name a few. Are you tired of the winning? I'm not tired of the winning. Let's check traffic. It's Super Talk. That says it's 49 degrees, 15 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. That was Jeff gave that. He popped in my ear during the traffic report. He goes, it says it's 49 degrees right now.
Well, it's so off. It's crazy because sometimes I check my phone or I check the computer and it's just they're off by like 4 degrees.
Yeah, I got 48 on my phone.
Yeah. Or that. So I was close.
We're in fake spring.
Why does everyone keep saying like false spring?
Yeah, it's false spring. We're gonna get real winter again soon.
Yeah, I was talking to someone the other day. I'm like, oh man, it's nice. The weather's coming back. They're like, oh, it's just we're so cynical. It's false. It's false spring.
It's false spring.
Don't be happy about it.
Don't get overjoyed. Winter will return. And today, after about 2 o'clock, we got an increased chance of rain, and then we got some storms tomorrow as well. So be on the lookout for that. Pack your raincoats. Bring an umbrella. Do people do umbrellas anymore? I don't do umbrellas. I'm not an umbrella guy. Are you an umbrella guy?
No, I always just have a hoodie.
Clearly, you don't have hair that you don't want to get wet.
What do you mean?
Women like to have an umbrella so that our hair doesn't get wet. It'll either go very flat or very wiry if it gets wet.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
My grandmother was very classy and used to have the little plastic thing that she would put over her head and
There
tie.
you go. Yeah.
I feel like we should bring those back.
I'm all for it. You mean the little bonnet thing that
Yeah.
you tie? Yeah, my mom always used to have those.
Joan, you should bring it back.
You think?
I'll tell
It's
Virginia.
stylish.
I'll tell Virginia.
We'll
you
wear
do
'em
it.
to church.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
The next time it rains the church, you guys are bringing that back.
Sounds like a
Love it.
scene from The Wicker Man. But continue.
All right, so the news is overwhelmed by Donald Trump. That's the strategy. Let's be perfectly honest. And I love to see the meltdowns. I just do. I'm here for the salt. I'm a salt miner part time. And the New York Times columnist Gail Collins. This is some good salt for you. I'm getting really tired of waking up in the morning and knowing it's probably going to be a good day for bad guys. Yep. Orange man bad. Trump derangement syndrome. Full blown. Trump's flood zone strategy leaves opponents gasping in outrage. Luke Broadwater at the Times reported last week. The strategy has existed since at least 2018, when the former Trump administration strategist Steve Bannon boasted the ability to overwhelm Democrats and any media opposition through a determined effort to flood the zone with initiatives. This time, the flood is bigger, wider, and more brutally efficient. I'll repeat that for you one more time. This time, the flood is bigger, wider, and more brutally efficient. As President Trump begins his second term, he has enacted an agenda at a breakneck speed as part of an intentional plan to knock his opponents off balance and dilute their response. J.D. Vance said this is the new normal. Get ready. Expect this. Okay? He said for the next 4 years, they are going to be keeping the same pace. It's not going anywhere. This isn't going to slow down. This is the strategy. This is what it's going to be like for the next 4 years. Wild. Vice President J.D. Vance sat down with Breitbart News yesterday exclusively, and he said that President Trump is having the time of his life as president so far, 2 weeks into his second term. Vance sat down in the West Wing office down the hall from the Oval Office and said Trump is having the time of his life, man. He said, I obviously think he's doing a great job, and I think he's done more in 2 weeks than, frankly, Biden did in 4 years and Obama did in 8 years. Yep, fact check, true. Vance said it really is a breakneck pace, and it really does flow directly from presidential leadership. He's constantly asking us, how many days do we have left? I love that attitude. How many days do we have left? How many days? How many weeks do we have left? What have we done today? It's a constant drive from the top, and it's why I think you see all these great things coming out of the White House, but he is having fun. That's J.D. Vance, an exclusive with Breitbart. This is the strategy that they're employing. It's working. It is working fantastically. We can barely cover the news, and we like the guy. Imagine how the Democrats feel. But by the time they even wrap their heads around being upset about one initiative, they're on to something else. And this is the move. And Donald Trump dominates the news cycle. He does. Now, yesterday, he was signing a few executive orders. He signed one to establish pressure on the government of Iran. And the talks of Iran wanting to assassinate him came up. And again, this is one of those things that because the news cycle is moving so incredibly fast, if you blink, you would have missed this.
Why say that you're unhappy to sign it if it's Iran and their proxies who have threatened to retaliate against you and your team by killing you guys for taking out Soleimani.
Well, they haven't done that, and that would be a terrible thing for them to do, not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That'd be the end. I've left instructions.
He said if Iran assassinated him, it wouldn't be bad for him, which is just a heck of a statement. And it affirms the belief that I think he is feeling good with the Lord. He's not stressing. He goes, but it would be bad for them. They'd be obliterated. I left instructions.
If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why, lack of intelligence, perhaps. But he never said it. If that happens to a leader or close to a leader, frankly, if you had other people involved also, you would call for total obliteration of a state that did it. That would include Iran. So I'm signing this, and it's a very powerful document.
He said if Iran assassinated him, they would be obliterated. There would be absolutely nothing left. Then he went on to sign an executive order establishing maximum pressure on the government of Iran. I'll bring you that executive order when we return right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Up ahead on Super Talk 99.7 at 6:30, Metro Council takes a new step to allow Nashville police to access those private security cameras. And we'll show you what security looks like for the Super Bowl in New Orleans. Those stories coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. Chris Hand in for Dan Mandis, who is getting his other eye fixed today. Now they're going to be taking a sharp scalpel and just digging in there and getting that cataract out. I think, technically.
That was kind of anticlimactic.
I know. I'm running out of ammo on that one.
Yeah, you went too far in the first hour. You got 3 more hours. You gotta build it. Come on.
All right. Well, I'm open to suggestions. Super text line.
I got some ideas.
All right, perfect. I got a text here. First-time texter, 9267. I bet you now if Trump decides to go play a round of golf, the mainstream media won't be upset because it'll give them a break since they're so overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed. This has been the strategy, and I said earlier, if you blinked, you missed it. He said that he would obliterate Iran if they assassinated him, that he left instructions for them to do so, and that there would be nothing left. He said this before signing an executive order putting maximum pressure on the government of Iran, and it sounded like this, signing that executive order.
This is a national security presidential memorandum that seeks to impose maximum pressure on the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Many of these provisions are similar to actions that your administration took during your first administration. The basic idea here is to have every department and agency, or many departments and agencies in your government attempt to sanction and control Iranian activities, particularly relating to the Iranian nuclear program and the Iranian export of terrorism through support of various proxy groups abroad. And the intent here is to give you all of the possible tools to, I'd say, engage with the Iranian government to ensure that going forward they're less of a malign actor on the world stage.
Yeah, so listen, the news of Israel today about how we're going to be owning the Gaza Strip, that's what Donald Trump wants, with Benjamin Netanyahu in tow at the press conference. That press conference wouldn't have even been needed. If Biden had just kept the same sanctions on Iran, they wouldn't have been able to fund terrorism. They wouldn't have been able to fund Hamas. October 7th would have never happened. And you know what? Trump is going back to the same policy that worked beforehand.
So this is one that I'm torn about. Everybody wants me to sign it. I'll do that. It's very tough on Iran. It's what we had before. We would have never had the problem. You would have never had October 7th. We would have never had the problem had the election gone a different way, which it should have. But this one, I think, more than made up for it. I think we're doing things that it shows that more than made up for it, much more historic. The Iran situation, hopefully, I'm going to sign it, but hopefully we're not going to have to use it very much. We will see whether or not we can arrange or work out a deal with Iran, and everybody can live together, and maybe that's possible, and maybe it's not possible. So I'm signing this, and I'm unhappy to do it, but I really have not so much choice because we have to be strong and firm, and I hope that it's not going to have to be used in any great measure at all.
So that's Donald Trump as he's signing that executive order. Again, the news cycle is moving so fast, if you blinked, you would miss this. He signed a few other executive orders, including one that would withdraw the U.S. from the United Nations Human Rights Council. We'll cover that when we return right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 6:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We do still have a crash on 24 westbound with a tractor trailer sticking out into the right lane. Got to watch that area this morning as you travel around it. We'll have more in traffic, and we'll have your forecast, too, coming up. Fusus is back. A proposal that would allow Metro Nashville police to tap into surveillance cameras is back before City Council. A second reading of the proposal last night before the council. Members there saying those cameras already exist and the technology called Fusus is necessary for police to do their jobs. Fusis, as you may remember, was shot down by one vote late last year. Got some clarification, too, about Nashville's partnership with Fairfax County, Virginia, to share 911 services in the case of a catastrophe. Stephen Martini is the director of emergency communications. He explains to Channel 4 why Fairfax County.
We're in a different place, so it's not likely that we're going to be impacted by the same emergency at the same time. When it's snowing in Fairfax, it's likely not snowing here in Nashville. When it's rainy and tornado weather here, they're likely not experiencing that at Fairfax at the same time.
Now, if Nashville's 911 gets knocked out, like the RV explosion on Christmas Day in 2020, Fairfax would take the calls and then relay the information to Nashville dispatchers so they can send fire, police, and EMS. Security preparations are underway in New Orleans for the Super Bowl, and football fans may be feeling a little shaky about security after the New Year's Day terror attack. But the Department of Homeland Security's special agent in charge, Eric DeLon, says that his people are on it.
This is going to be the safest city in America for this Super Bowl. We will have more federal assets, more federal law enforcement, more state and local law enforcement, probably than any other Super Bowl ever played.
They said also they'll use helicopters, drones, and armored vehicles all throughout the city. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. It's a crash this morning if you're traveling on Dickerson Pike at Old Hickory Boulevard, also in Opperland. Briley Parkway, the northbound side, just past McGavock Pike, exit 12. A crash there, blocking off the right lane. Also, the right lane still blocked on 24 westbound at Church Street, exit 81. The tractor trailer still sticking out in the lane. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
638, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand in for Dan Mandis. He's getting his other eye fixed today. Wishing Dan the best of luck. Brian Wilson will be filling in for me in the 9 to noon slot. I know a lot of people are looking forward to Brian back on the air as well. I am one of those people. So thank you, Brian, for stepping up, and thank you, Dan, for taking a day off. You know what Dan wanted to do originally? He wanted to do half the show.
I know.
And
what a
have
goober.
me come in early.
Yeah.
And I said, don't you want to just sleep in? He goes, nope, I don't.
He hates missing shows. He hates it.
He said, I'll leave early. You come in early. And he's like, are you good to do 5 hours? I'm like, I'll do 5 hours if that's what you want to do. I was like, I think you should just take the day. He goes, nope, not doing it. All right, you got it.
He's like an old man.
Then I got a text 2 hours later. And the text 2 hours later said, well, Amy overruled me. So,
she keeps him, she's like, dude. Like, that's how I imagine Amy talking to him. It's like, dude, just take the day off.
I said back to him, I said, next time, just give me Amy's number and we can save some time.
Right. Cut out the middleman completely.
You got to take the day. Sleep in a little bit. And I know sleeping in for Dan is like 3:30 as opposed to 1 a.m.
If they are listening, and I hope Dan's not mad at me for saying this, because off air, anytime we talk about, like, Amy, he's like, that woman has saved my life. Like, and he's so appreciative of her. So it's always funny when he just, like, anything, like if Amy says you're doing this, he's like, oh, this is probably the right thing to do.
Yeah, she's awesome. Me and Dan have that in common. We married up. We overshot our distance. You know.
Aw, that's really cool.
So yeah, that's
how much is Virginia listening? Is that why you're saying?
No,
that?
I have no idea. Probably not. She tells me that she listens to me enough during the day. I live with you. I have to hear you all the time.
Anytime you talk about her, she's always like putting you down.
No, it's not putting me down. No, she has my back more than anything, but she has to listen to me all the time.
So I've met Amy, and she's a sweetheart. I haven't met Virginia yet, and I haven't met Murphy's wife either.
Erica's sweet. She's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, we all outkicked
Actually,
our
I've seen her once. It was when you were doing the job you're doing the show during Friday's snowstorm way back when, and I saw her coming through the back door.
Oh yeah, when I was broadcasting live from the living room.
I was like, oh, that must be the famous Virginia.
Yep, that was a good show. All right, we got a lot to cover. Excuse me, we got a lot to cover today. Donald Trump is just rapid fire. He doesn't stop, and God bless him. I mean, the guy signed up to work, and he is working. So if you're just joining us, you've probably heard the news that he wants to own the Gaza Strip. I think that's a jumping off point for negotiations. He had a lot more going on yesterday, and if you blinked, you missed it. He signed an executive order maximizing pressure on the government of Iran, essentially returning to the same policy they had there in the first term, which had Biden kept that policy, we would have never had October 7th and the issues that came out of that. He also signed another executive order. This one was removing the United States, withdrawing us from the United Nations Human Rights Council. So this executive order pulled us out of that deal. The United Nations Human Rights Council is a refugee organization, the UNRWA. So he signed an executive order pulling us out of that as well.
We have an executive order prepared for your attention that would withdraw the United States from the UN Human Rights Council, would withdraw the United States from the UNRWA, which is a refugee organization, and would also review American involvement in UNESCO, which has also exhibited anti-American bias. More generally, the executive order calls for a review of American involvement and funding in the UN in light of the wild disparities in levels of funding among different countries that, as you've expressed previously, is deeply unfair to the United States.
I mean, that's huge. Huge on so many levels. Reviewing the funding to the UN. I mean, let's be honest. What does the UN do for the U.S.? Not a whole lot. And how much does the U.S. pay the UN to do not a whole lot? Well, it's actually a whole lot. We basically foot the bill. So we're going to review that. We're going to withdraw from the U.S. We're going to withdraw the U.S. from the United Nations Human Rights Council. We're going to withdraw from the UNRWA, a refugee organization. Then we're going to review the U.S. involvement in UNESCO and review UN funding in the United Nations from the U.S.
So I've always felt that the UN has tremendous potential, It's not living up to that potential right now. It really isn't. Hasn't for a long time. It has. There are great hopes for it, but it's not being well run, to be honest, and they're not doing the job. A lot of these conflicts that we're working on should be settled, or at least we should have some help in settling them. We never seem to get help. That should be the primary purpose of the UN, the United Nations, and again, it's got great potential, and based on the potential, we'll continue to go along with it, but they got to get their act together.
I love that. They got to get their act together. At what point is the potential no longer there for the United Nations? You know, like you got kids and you're like, wow, you know, you're unlimited potential, right? You could be anything you want when you grow up. But at a certain point, that kid's going to be in his 40s and 50s, and that unlimited potential is no longer there. At what point does the United Nations no longer have any potential? Asking for a friend. Like, where's the line in the sand? Because at a certain point, that potential is gone, right? Great potential. Hasn't lived up to it at all. They got to get their act together, says Donald Trump. Removing us from the UNRWA is massive. They were funding terrorism. Like, let's not beat around the bush here. Breitbart reports Israeli government spokesman David Mencer opened a press briefing last Wednesday with a blistering argument against the UNRWA, which must cease all operations in Israel under a recent law signed by the Israeli parliament. Every dollar to UNRWA is a dollar to Hamas. The time to defund and dismantle UNRWA is now. He noted that UNRWA employees, which I know Dan has covered on this show a bunch. He covered it fantastically. But the Israeli government spokesman noted UNRWA employees participated in the October 7th terror attack. They held Israeli hostages. He added that UNRWA forces Palestinians to remain refugees and indoctrinates successive generations to hate Israel. Yeah, I don't think we should be giving them a dollar. Not a penny. President Trump halted funding to UNRWA in his first term, only to have Joe Biden restore it. Joe Biden has been wrong on every foreign policy issue ever. It's like the George Costanza theory in Seinfeld. He's like, Jerry, everything I'm doing is wrong. I should just do the opposite. And then it works out. If Joe Biden just did the opposite of everything that he thought he should do, we probably would have had a prosperous 4 years. But we didn't. So Trump had halted funding to UNRWA in his first term. Joe Biden restored it. Eventually, the Biden administration did halt the funding again after Israel presented evidence that UNRWA employees had been involved in the October 7th attack. Other countries also paused funding. Some later resumed it. This is the stuff that we gotta nip in the bud immediately. Trump also has some thoughts about the Department of Education. We'll cover that after we check the roads right here on Super Talk. No commercials, just the traffic. Thank you, Christy. 646 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand in for Dan Mandis as he gets his eye surgery done today via Dr. Horn. Good luck to Dan. If you don't listen to me normally, I'm on 9 to noon. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, and Instagram at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. Brian Wilson will be back in the host chair today from 9 to noon, covering for me. Thank you to Brian. I'm as excited to hear Brian as I'm sure you are. He's one of the best, so I'm glad that Brian is filling in for me. Looking forward to that on my ride home. And we're talking about just the flurry of activity from Donald Trump. It has not stopped since he was inaugurated. I mean, it's been insane. It's been insane. Yesterday, he started talking about the Department of Education. There are reports out there that he's going to dismantle it. Completely dismantle it. And, you know, unlike Joe Biden, Donald Trump answers questions, and it doesn't matter what the questions are. He doesn't have a note card with pre-planned reporters that he's going to ask with their picture next to it so he doesn't get them confused with somebody who may or may not be living anymore. And they asked him about the Department of Education.
And on the Education Department, why nominate Linda McMahon to be the Education Department Secretary if you're going to get rid of the education?
Because I told Linda, I hope you do a great job and put yourself out of a job. I want her to put herself out of a job, Education Department. So we're ranked number 40 out of 40 schools, right? We're ranked number 1 in cost per pupil. So we spend more per pupil than any other country in the world. And we're ranked at the bottom of the list. We're ranked very badly.
Yeah, we're the worst. And since the Department of Education was put into effect, it's just nosedived our education system. Now people they'll cry. They'll say, "Oh, what are we going to do? Somebody think of the children." Have you seen public schools lately? Have you? I mean, even in Tennessee here, we're constantly going, how are these kids moving on and they can't read? It's insane. It's insane. It's one of the reasons why we homeschool. You know, there used to be the stigma about homeschool kids. Then I'd laugh. I say, have you seen public school kids lately? I mean, let's be real. But the Department of Education, they need to be fixed. And if it can't be fixed, it needs to be dismantled. Trump says he wants Linda McMahon to put herself out of a job.
And what I want to do is let the states run schools. I believe strongly in school choice. But in addition to that, I want the states to run schools. And I want Linda to put herself out of a job.
So do you think that's something you can do with an executive order, or are you going to ask Congress to do it?
I'd like to be able to. Look, if I could give the schools back to Iowa and Idaho and Indiana and all these places that run properly, there's many of them. I think. So if you look at the list, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, believe it or not, China's doing very well on that list, a list of well-educated, where they run their school system well. You have a lot of countries, not surprising names. I think that if you moved our schools into some of these states that are really well-run states, they would be as good as Denmark and Norway and Sweden and some of the other states. And then you'd have the laggards, and you know who they are. I don't have to go to it. But you'd have the laggards, the same laggards that are laggards with everything else, including crime.
I love the use of the word laggards, and I think that we need to make that more prominent in everyday vocabulary. I'm tired of these laggards, and we need to get these laggards in line.
But even them, you'll break it into systems. As an example, if you went to New York, you go to Westchester County, you go to Dutchess County, you go to Suffolk and Long Island and Nassau and Long Island, you have maybe 6 or 7 locations, and you have New York City, which would include the 5 boroughs. And I think even that would run much better than it does right now. Same thing with Los Angeles or California. You'd have Riverside, you'd break it up into 6 or 7, but most of them would be states, and you'd have one, like in Iowa, you give it to the state of Iowa, you give it to the state of Indiana, these are really well-run states. They don't have debt, they don't have problems, they don't have any crimes, relatively speaking, to speak of. And you would have education that would be the equivalent of Norway and Denmark and various other places that are at the top of the list.
I'm with Trump. Send it back to the states and then let that competition begin. Now, these comments obviously are going to upset quite a few people, including one Randy Weingarten, who is the high-paid union boss making over $500,000 a year. She's crying foul because Trump wants to shut down the Department of Education. I'll bring you her comments when we return. It is 6:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The Covenant shooter's full writings may soon be released. We'll tell you about that. Also, why some packages you were expecting may not be showing up on your doorstep. We've got those stories and more coming up at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 6:57 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand in for Dan Mandis. If you're experiencing some static on the signal, we are having some power issues. You can also listen to us on the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, or the 99.7 WTN app. Crystal clear. If you want to watch us, we're on Super Talk TV, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Hit like and subscribe while you're on the YouTube page. So Donald Trump wants to dismantle the Department of Education. He wasn't holding back yesterday during questions from the press. Peter Ducey asked him about it. He said he wants Linda McMahon to work herself out of a job. Now, that is really angered some in the teachers' unions. You know, only the ones that are making over $500,000 a year, like Randy Weingarten. She can't believe that Trump would have such a reckless idea.
Where's the money going? Who's taking it? Are they trying to take that money that kids get for tax cuts for billionaires? What's going on? That's why we have to see what they're doing. It is illegal to take that money out of children's mouths and give it to billionaires.
I don't understand the argument.
Why is there money in their mouths?
It's dirty. It's
couldn't even give them food? It's
very dirty.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
This is the problem with public schools. No, but listen, she's accusing Trump of stealing teachers' salaries to line the pockets of billionaires. But the reality is if you didn't have the federal bureaucracy skimming money off the top, the states would have more money for the schools. Randy Weingarten doesn't understand this. I think she's more worried about her more than $500,000 salary going away. So she has to say orange man bad.
Now, are there areas you think that could be improved or streamlined?
Oh, my God. My members, remember, Al Shanker actually didn't want a Department of Education. He wanted it to stay, one of my predecessors, he wanted to stay within Health and Human Services, HEW, because he thought it was more important to have the whole child focused on. So, of course, there are ways to fix the bureaucracy. Of course, there are ways to make things better.
Then why haven't you? Then why haven't you? Give us some things you're going to do to improve the system. You don't have any? You're just going to yell orange man bad and he's stealing money from teachers and he's stealing money out of the mouths of kids? You're going to lean on emotional arguments without any facts? Weird. It always seems to happen that way, doesn't it? It does. It's Chris Hand in for Dan Mandis today as he gets his eye surgery done. Wishing Dan the best of luck. Dr. Horn has got him in good hands. He'll be back tomorrow. And Randy Weingarten is not the only Democrat upset right now. Actually, many Democrats are upset because of Elon Musk and the incoming oligarchy. There was a big rally protest outside the U.S. Treasury yesterday with just unhinged lunatic leftists screaming. I'll bring you all the rants, and we'll talk about which one's your favorite. My money's on Elizabeth Warren. We'll do that when we return right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, good morning. 7 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're at 49 degrees now and expecting some stormy weather this afternoon into tonight. Stick around for the forecast and for traffic still to come here. The full writings of the Covenant school shooter may soon be released. This comes after the Tennessee Star sued the FBI to release its copy of the writings. WSMV's Amanda Hara reports on a new development in this case.
Now, the Star says it got a letter from the Department of Justice saying that the DOJ is considering an offer to release all the writings that the FBI has. Police recovered about 20 journals, 2 memoirs, and a suicide note.
Some of the pages have already been leaked to the media. Got an update on those 5 teenagers who drove their car through the window of a gun store in Franklin last month. Well, the Tennessee Star is reporting that all 5 are in the country illegally from Honduras. They range in age from 13 to 15 years old, and they've been living in Nashville. The Star says all 5 teenagers are scheduled to be deported by federal immigration authorities. Residents of Greenbrier in Robertson County have been told to keep their doors locked and remain cautious after the murder of a man on Fisher Grove Road. They are searching for the suspect in this case, Jimmy Cox, for the murder of his stepfather. Police say Cox is dangerous. Anyone who sees him should notify police. A robbery at the mall at Green Hills ended with a fatal crash last night, shutting down a stretch of 65 northbound. Metro Police spokesmen say convicted felon Omari Moore tried to rob a man of his shopping bags that he was carrying from a high-end store as he was getting into his car. Well, there was a struggle, but Omari Moore was able to take the bags and jump into a waiting Tesla with a driver as an accomplice. But that car crashed, and police later found that the driver had already been shot, and he died later on. Moore tossed the gun away and took off, but he was later captured. Now, as for the man who was robbed,
we do not, at this point, have the shopper identified. He was likely scared. He fled the mall. We need to speak with him.
His name is, that's the Metro PD spokesperson, Don Aaron there. Police are hoping that that victim will come forward for questioning. Well, don't expect that package from Temu or Shein to make it to your front door. The Postal Service has just blocked packages from China and Hong Kong until further notice. It's part of President Trump's tariff actions. China's foreign ministry spokesperson Lin Jian.
The Chinese government calls on the United States to stop politicizing and weaponizing trade and economic issues, stop going after or suppressing Chinese companies.
You will still be able to receive letters, however, from China. Market numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Dow futures minus 63, the NASDAQ futures minus 164 right now, and the S&P futures are down 25. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Watch for a crash in Hendersonville, Vietnam Veterans Boulevard, the westbound lanes before Gallatin Pike, exit 3. The right lane is blocked off there. You've got an accident, too, in Bellshire at Dickerson Pike and Old Hickory Boulevard, and an accident on I-40, the westbound lanes before Veterans Parkway, exit 50. That one blocks off the left lane. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
7:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand in for Dan Mandis. He's getting his right eye fixed. Is it the right eye that he's getting fixed today?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
All right.
I honestly was trying to remember what the eye patch looked like when last time I saw him, so I'm like doing the math in my head.
And he is confirmed there will be no eye patch tomorrow.
He has confirmed that, yes, unfortunately.
I feel like that's a missed opportunity.
He said, and I quote, "I'm just going to have my goopy eye for the world to see."
Goopy?
Yeah, it gets goopy and red and gross.
I don't like that word goopy.
But see, the thing is, the last time when he had the patch on, he took the patch off to show me, a little show and tell of his eye.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Says the woman that brought in the hardware that was in her wrist.
I knew you'd want to see it. So he showed me his eye, and it was really, it was goopy, but also he couldn't stand the light. I think he was still, his pupil was still really dilated, so he couldn't stand the light. So I think he's being optimistic that he won't be wearing a patch because he may need it tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Well, one way or another, Dan and all of his goopy glory will return tomorrow on Nashville's Morning News. I'm excited to fill in. I love having the opportunity to hang out with you guys that work at the same time that I work most of the time. So if you never catch my show, I'm on 9 to noon. You can always find the podcast on Apple and Spotify. Brian Wilson is going to be back in my chair today, hosting for me. Thank you to Brian. Always a treat to listen to Brian. I'm going to be really enjoying that as much as you are. The Democrats, they're big mad. They're very upset about Trump and about Elon. They who voted for Elon? Nobody voted for Elon, except for the fact that one of the campaign promises was that Trump was going to let Elon go in and look at the budget. So it was kind of baked into the cake when we were voting for Trump. And that was one of the reasons a lot of people did vote for Trump. So I guess
but all those 19-year-olds.
I guess we did vote for Elon, though.
Yeah. But
the 19-year-olds, so I said this yesterday on my show. I was talking with Pastor Allen, my pastor at our church, and he said, I think Elon is smarter than your average government employee. And I said, I think if you went down the rank of the rank and file of Elon's team, you could get to like number 15, 16, 17, and you would find that person is smarter than your average government employee. And it's true. I mean, the Doge kids are getting doxxed. And if you don't know what doxxed is, it means that people are finding their pictures, their names, their addresses, and they're releasing it on the internet. They're getting death threats. And these kids are brilliant. I mean, one of them figured out how to decipher an ancient scroll. Like, just insanely brilliant. Winning all sorts of awards, getting into the things like blockchain consensus and AI, and these are MIT graduates, University of Nebraska graduates, just super smart kids. Very, very much smarter than your average government employee. So they're looking into things and they're exposing things, and the Democrats are very, very upset, butthurt, if you will. And as the Democrats say, Elon doesn't have the authority to do this. Elon's not allowed to do this. How dare you do this? I just want to point out the Treasury has confirmed that Doge, there was a big protest outside the U.S. Treasury yesterday. One of the things Elon revealed was that the U.S. Treasury approved every payment, no matter what. Even if it was known to be fraudulent, known to be going to bad actors, it was just blanket approval on anything from the U.S. Treasury. So yesterday, the Treasury confirmed that Doge only has read-only access as it targets government waste. They can't go in and edit anything. They're just combing through data. The Treasury Department assured Congress that the Doge task force has only read-only access for federal payment systems. If you do anything at work where you're sharing documents, you understand what I mean. Read-only means you can't edit it. You give that to people that you're not sure if you can trust them. You know what I mean? You don't want them to go in there and delete something accidentally. So they have read-only access. And this is still, the bureaucrats are still panicked about this. The bureaucrats who fear transparency. So Doge has been tasked with cutting waste, cutting spending, and they've identified millions in questionable spending. On the USAID front, we were talking yesterday that they had USAID funded transgender comics in Peru. They funded a DEI musical in Ireland. They funded a transgender opera in Colombia. I don't know what I'm going to do for spring break now, but you understand, like, these things we shouldn't be using our tax dollars to pay for. It's ridiculous. on all fronts. So they're also looking at the Treasury. So establishment politicians, they're just big mad. A lot of people are saying this is the U.S. aid and the Treasury stuff. This is the golden goose of the deep state, and that's why they're so upset. And you have to wonder, why are they so afraid of oversight? Well, they just don't want the money faucet to be turned off. And again, that's according to the AP, that DOJ has read-only access to Treasury Department. Okay, the Associated Press. Take it with a grain of salt. I don't really like them, but I know a lot of lefties do. So I like using their sources sometimes. But it's led to many of these Democrats wanting their moment in the sun, and they're going to the U.S. Treasury yesterday to stage a big protest. And I'm sure it was totally organic, and I'm sure none of the protesters were paid for. But you had guys like Elizabeth Warren, Maxwell Frost, Jasmine Crockett, Chuck Schumer, and they all showed up there, and they're all screaming and yelling. And before the protest kicked off, Maxwell Frost posted this video on X. Maxwell Frost is a Democrat out of Florida.
Hey everybody, Congressman Maxwell Frost here with many of my colleagues. We're here because an unelected billionaire has access to the private information of our constituents, and we want to answer.
Yeah, so it's Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett here, and let me tell y'all, oversight is going to do our job. So we are here because we need to understand why it is that our Department of Treasury has been broken into, and we need to go ahead and handle the person that decided that they were going to have the audacity to go after our information.
Seth Magaziner from Rhode Island, former state treasurer. We need to know who is in control of the Treasury, what their permissions are, what their intentions are, and what they want to do with your money and your identity. We need answers now.
So, I mean, if you had done oversight in the first place, this wouldn't be necessary. If you had kept track of where the money was going, this wouldn't be an issue. We need oversight now. We need to know what kind of access they have. Well, the AP reported it's read-only access. They're not editing anything. They're just looking at where the money's going.
What do we need?
All right, so they posted this video on X, and it has all these subtitles, and the subtitles didn't know what they said at the end there. I don't know what they say at the end there either. Maxwell Frost says, "What do we need?" And then they all yell something. Do you have any idea what they're saying here, KJB?
Now. What do we need?
They all are saying something different. They were not a team in this. That's funny. I have no... One more time. Let me try it again. I got nothing. I literally, legitimately, no idea.
The video has subtitles on the entire thing until that point.
I mean, there's like three people saying something different, and they're not even in the same, like, boom, boom, boom. It's all in different tones and different times they're raising their voices. You know what I mean? Like different chants.
Okay, so this is them, and they're not making much sense, clearly. But this is before they go completely unhinged. And when I say completely unhinged, I mean completely unhinged. I thought Elizabeth Warren might have a stroke or a seizure while she was screaming on stage. I'll play that for you right after we check the roads right here. No commercials on Super Talk. Thank you, Christy. It's 7:16 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's the temperature? What do we got? I got like 50-something. It's like 50-something degrees. Got a chance of rain after 2 o'clock. High is 63 today. What, is it 50-something?
Yeah, it's 50.
Yeah, 50-something. If you're having an issue listening to the station today, we are having power issues on our signal, on our antennas and all that fun stuff. But you can listen on the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, or the 99.7 WTN app. Crystal clear. You can watch us on Super Talk TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. While you're there, hit the like button, hit subscribe. You can even sign up for notifications so you never miss a moment of Super Talk. And if you do miss a moment, podcasts are always available on Apple and Spotify. So the Democrats are outside the U.S. Treasury yesterday to protest Elon Musk, this unelected official. How dare he? Who gave him access to this? Well, it was Trump. Trump said, we want you to look into wasteful spending. And the Democrats they can't even bring themselves to understand why Orange Man would let South African man do this. So they have all the big Democrats up there. Elizabeth Warren went full hysterical. Full hysterical. Again, I thought I thought at a certain point she might have a seizure.
Come on up, Senator Warren. The people want to hear from you.
Who? Who? Give me names. Who says, you know who I would like to hear from on this issue? Any issue at all. And you know who I would like to hear from? Elizabeth Warren. Said by no one.
Let's give it up for Senator Warren.
All right. In the building behind me, Elon Musk is seizing power from the American people.
All right. He's not. The American people overwhelmingly voted for this, overwhelmingly behind this. Everybody understands that the government spends way too much money, full of waste, full of fraud. He's seizing power from he's seizing power from the bureaucrats.
We are here to fight back. A few months ago, Elon Musk spent $280 million to buy an election for Donald Trump.
You know, it's so funny. It's like, okay, just keep that premise, right? Keep the premise that Elon Musk spent $280 million to buy an election for Donald Trump. No, none of that same energy for Mark Zuckerberg in 2020? No? Weird.
Now, Elon Musk is here to collect on his investment.
Yes.
He is here to seize power for himself. We are here to fight back. Musk has grabbed control of America's payment system. This is the system that makes sure that your grandpa gets his Social Security check on time. This is the system that makes sure that your mom's doctor gets paid for her Medicare exam. Elon Musk wants the power to turn that on, to turn that off, as Elon Musk decides.
It's always emotional arguments with these people. There's no facts to any of this.
I thought it was Grandpa and Meemaw.
It should be.
Yeah.
Elon Musk wants the power to say that your grandpa, who frankly is a cranky old guy, and sometimes disses Elon on X, doesn't get his Social Security check on time.
Oh, so if your grandpa gets a bit cranky, he's a little onerous on the X machine, he's not going to get his Social Security check?
Don't talk bad.
Don't do that.
Don't talk bad about my grandpa. That's where I draw the line.
Again, the Associated Press has confirmed that they have a read-only version of the data. They can't turn anything on or off at all.
Facts don't matter.
No. It's emotional arguments only.
Elon Musk wants power to say to your mom's doctor, you're not doing it the way I would, so the doctor doesn't get paid. Elon Musk wants the power to decide whether or not every road repair in America goes forward, whether or not every Head Start center in America opens, and whether or not every military base anywhere in the world operates according to Elon.
All right, are you keeping score at home? Elon's canceling Social Security because your grandpa's too cranky. He's canceling Medicare because, your mom's doctor doesn't do it the way Elon would. He's obviously responsible for potholes and military base. He's seizing the power for military bases around the world. This is the argument that Elizabeth Warren is making.
Elon Musk wants everyone in America to be at the mercy of Elon Musk. We are here to fight back.
Yeah. All right.
Go get a beer, you crazy lady.
I mean, what a lunatic. They keep voting for her in Massachusetts. They vote for her. How many times did she say Elon Musk in that 3-minute clip?
Hey, drinking game, folks. Take a drink every time she says Elon Musk.
We don't want to condone alcohol poisoning here.
That's true. Be very moderate, like tiny sips.
Yeah, Dan Mandis is out today. I'm Chris Hand filling in for him. Brian Wilson will be filling in for me. Dan's back tomorrow at 7:23 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Good morning to you. It's 7:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're at 49 degrees now. We could have some stormy weather later. Keep it here on WTN all throughout the day. President Trump surprised the nation, perhaps even the world, with his idea to permanently relocate nearly 2 million people living in the Gaza Strip so the U.S. could redevelop that land.
Truckloads of tents and tarps are arriving. Trump critics say this is proof Palestinians do not want to leave, but Netanyahu praising Trump's proposal.
You say things others refuse to say, and after the jaws drop, people scratch their heads and they say, he's right. This is the kind of thinking that will reshape the Middle East and bring peace.
High on the agenda for Trump and Netanyahu is a potential deal to normalize relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia. But overnight, Saudi officials said that won't happen without the establishment of an independent Palestinian state.
That's ABC's Christiane Cordero reporting. It's day one at the office for newly confirmed Attorney General Pam Bondi. And meantime, ABC's Rachel Scott reports the rest of President Trump's nominees appear to be on track.
It seems like every single one of President Trump's nominees, regardless of how controversial they are, regardless of how many tough questions they got even from Republicans, they're on track to be confirmed by the United States Senate.
A new bill filed at the Tennessee General Assembly would allow schools to opt out of enrolling undocumented students. House Leader William Lamberth sponsoring that bill. It comes weeks after the Rutherford County School Board passed a resolution that urges Tennessee leaders to expedite the closure of the nation's borders. The board saying that with so many ESL students in the school, there is exceptional financial pressure on the school systems. And that stormy weather for this afternoon.
The biggest severe threat is going to be damaging wind. An isolated tornado cannot be ruled out as of now, but this severe threat overall is on the low end for us, just a 1 out of 5 on that scale, and mostly along and north of I-40.
Channel 4's Stefano DiPietro. Keep it here to keep it informed. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, got a crash on 840 westbound. It's underneath Veterans Parkway, exit 50, and the crash there blocking the left lane. Stop and go traffic up to it as well. On Vietnam Veterans Boulevard westbound in Hendersonville, just before Gallatin Pike, we've got a crash, and the right lane there is blocked off. And an accident as well in Hermitage. This one's on Lebanon Pike at Old Hickory Boulevard East. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.736 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's Chris Hand filling in for Dan Mandis, who's getting his right eye fixed today via Dr. Horn. Just a sharp, pointy scalpel, digging in there, getting out a cataract.
Oh, okay.
What?
I give.
I was describing the procedure.
Yuck.
Starts to mix around the scalpel like it's a ladle.
Excuse me.
You got to stay still, otherwise it's going to be like an egg yolk in there.
Dan comes back. You guys... I flinched.
I flinched. Somebody on the super text line said either myself or Murphy needs to make the computer screens in the studio very, very blurry.
Oh, that would be so
Just to mess with them?
Just to mess with them. And I thought it was hilarious, but then I was like, he wouldn't know how to fix it back.
Yeah, he would just talk about their whole show.
I kind of want to do it.
You could leave directions, like written directions for how to fix it, and have that be blurry too.
Here's what would happen. You would go, Jeff, we need to fix this. How do I fix this? How do I fix this? Like, anytime commercial break, how do I fix this? We need to fix this. Has it been fixed yet?
That's so funny. It's a good idea. I just worry that we wouldn't be able to fix it.
It's a little on the mean side.
That's a little mean. It's a little mean. Ready for a radio segue?
Yeah, let's do it.
The Democrats were on the mean side yesterday.
Oh, that's good.
You like that?
Yeah, I do.
So there was a protest going on at the U.S. Treasury. We played Elizabeth Warren a little bit ago, and she was unhinged. But she was not the only unhinged leftist lunatic at the protest rally at the U.S. Treasury yesterday, because they got to stop the oligarchy and Elon Musk taking over the U.S. government. There was quite a few. One super texter pointed out how brilliant Trump is. 0395 said, how brilliant is Trump? You listen to these protesters and these Democrats, and they're mad at Elon. They never mentioned President Trump once. Brilliant. And you know what? I listened to that Elizabeth Warren clip again. It's 3 minutes of ranting, no mention of Trump. Maybe that's the game plan. It is working that way. It's pretty brilliant. But then I remember Jasmine Crockett actually issued threats to Donald Trump and Elon Musk while they were at this anti-Musk rally. Jasmine Crockett, she's one of the worst. I'm not going to lie to you. Not a fan of Jasmine Crockett. I think she's completely overrated. But this is her yesterday at the rally in front of the U.S. Treasury.
But let me tell y'all something. I know some of y'all have been frustrated, and you've been saying, where are the Democrats? Where are our leaders? Well, I'm here to tell you that we ain't never left y'all. All right? We are here.
I love that guy in the background. Go ahead. Preach. Can I get a hallelujah? Here's the thing. Most of the Democrats that ended up voting for Trump, and there was a lot of them, make no mistake about it, they say one thing. The Democrat Party, we didn't leave it. It left us. They still don't understand how they lost a huge chunk of their voters. And right now, at this protest at the U.S. Treasury, they're actively arguing against cutting wasteful spending and fraud. Is there, on either side of the aisle, does anybody think that that's a bad idea? When what are we, 37 trillion in debt now, 38 trillion in debt? It's a ridiculous amount. Our interest payments are more than our defense spending. What are we doing? We
are also going to make sure that they uphold the law. We are not going to sit around while you go ahead and desecrate our Constitution, or you look at the laws that have been passed into law and say, never mind, we'll will just ignore that. Instead, we are going to be in your face. We are going to be on your asses, and we are going to make sure you understand what democracy looks like.
Oh, okay. Do you know what democracy looks like? Also, can she point to the laws that were passed that Trump and Elon are not following? Can she point to specific examples of the desecration of the Constitution? Probably not.
This ain't it. So let me tell you something, Mr. Trump. You gonna learn a few lessons from us. And I'm gonna be the first one. You and your little friend off of Twitter. Y'all about to find out, all right?
We're about to find out? We're about to find out. See, this is the kind of rhetoric that whips the radical elements of the left into a frenzy to the point that they're willing to climb up onto a sloped roof and take a shot at the president. Let's make no mistake about it. And this wasn't even the worst. This wasn't even the worst. There's a Democrat from New Jersey, LaMonica McIver. LaMonica. LaMonica, she was screaming, "We're at war."
Republicans, that we will not take this. We will fight back.
Fight back. Fight back.
And as I close out, because I know we've been out here for a long time, and damn it, shut down the Senate. We are at war.
Shut down the city, fight, fight, fight. We are at war. What are you telling the radical elements of your base? What are you telling them? You have guys on Reddit and Blue Sky, and they're doxing Doge employees, putting their addresses out there. You heard Kash Patel during his Senate confirmation hearings that he had to move because of the threats that he was received after being doxxed. That's when they put your name, your address out on the internet. Somebody's going to get killed over this rhetoric. But let's not beat around the bush. And for what? Trying to identify fraud and wasteful spending? Is that worth it to the Democrats? I guess.
And damn it, shut down the Senate. We are at war.
We're at war. We're at war. Okay. Are you keeping score at home? They're just whipping these elements of their base into an absolute frenzy. On Reddit, they're doxing the Doge guys, and they're saying things like, "We should storm the White House. The angry mobs need to enter the White House. Let's storm the White House. I don't see any way out of this supposed takeover unless it's violent." This is what the Democrats are doing to their base. It's not going to end well. It's not. Chuck Schumer was at this U.S. Treasury protest as well. This is Chuck. And it does highlight the fact that the Democrat Party has completely lost it. And they shouldn't be taken serious at all.
We're going to stand with you in this fight, and we will win. 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 We won't rest. We won't rest. We won't rest. We won't rest.
Cringy. It's just so cringy.
It didn't even feel like he believed it. You know what I mean? He's like, "We will win." There's no energy. He is a.
They played that clip for Scott Jennings on CNN last night.
We will win. We won't rest. We won't rest.
Gretchen.
Yes,
So,
they need
can we
the
play
Democrats.
He was probably genuinely laughing at that.
Even Abby Phillips on the show, she was like, it's not the best.
This is what the kids call cringe.
It's cringy. 7:45 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand in for Dan Mandis. Time to check the roads. Thank you, Christy. High today of 63 degrees, currently 50-ish, depending on where you are. Chance of rain increases after 2 o'clock. It's going to get wet out there. Pack an umbrella. Pack a raincoat or one of those fancy little plastic wraps that my grandmother used to wear on the way to church. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I vividly know exactly what you're
Got to bring those back.
Fashionable.
Do they have ones for adults?
I think so.
Yeah.
My grandmother was an adult.
One quick thing. 2008 on the text line, we won't rest right after my nap.
Yeah, honestly. Chuck Schumer at this protest yesterday just making a fool of himself.
I'm going to stand with you in this fight, and we will win. 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 We won't rest.
He puts his finger up. And they're starting to get with the "we will win." And then he goes, "Oh, hold on, I got a better one.
Let's change it up.
I got a better one." And you can hear him awkwardly pause. Ready? Hold on.
We will win. We will win.
Finger up.
We won't rest. We won't rest. We won't rest.
Oh, geez. I'm wondering if they're covering up his cognitive decline as well now.
I mean, ever since he said erection live in front of millions of people, it's just been downhill.
It's been downhill. This is where we're at. This is where the Democrat Party is at. And when they're not at these rallies, they're losing it on TV. Jasmine Crockett, she was on some CNN show. I don't even know which one it is. They're all terrible. Let's be honest. But she was talking about DEI and calling out mediocre white boys. This is the current state of the Democrat Party.
I am tired of the white tears. Listen, if you are competent, you are not concerned. When I walk into Congress every single day, you know why I don't feel a way and why you can't make me doubt who I am is because I know that I had to work 10 times as hard as they did just to get into the seat.
Did she? Did she have to work 10 times as hard just to get into the seat? Asking for a friend.
Look and you compare me to Marjorie Taylor Greene or me to Lauren Boebert, there is no comparison.
We sure about that? You sure? KGB, can you fact check that for me? Can you figure out a way to fact check that?
Yeah, I can.
And that is the life that we have always lived. So the only people that are crying are the mediocre white boys that have been beaten out by people that historically have had to work so much harder. This is why they don't want us to have education. This is why they are trying to literally say we won't fund the HBCUs.
Trump gave them all of the funding and said you don't have to come back every year. He funded them for a decade. Also, let's do role reversal. If Scott Jennings goes on CNN and says, all you're seeing is tears from mediocre black boys, could you imagine the outrage? Could you imagine the hostility and the vitriol? He would never be on that network again. But she's allowed to just be racist because she's a black woman. She's a strong black woman. Is that so that's okay? She's allowed to call Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert mediocre. That's fine. We're fine with that. Well, you see, you can't be racist if you're in a position of power. I don't buy that at all, actually.
Because they know that if they've already gone after affirmative action and they're saying, you know what, don't allow them to come into, say, these PWIs, as we call them, don't allow them to come into these institutions. We know why they created the HBCUs in the first place. It was because they wouldn't allow us into the white institutions. And so now they're not allowing us in. And now they're saying, you know what, we're also going to defund the HBCUs. You know why? Because they don't want any more Kamala Harrises.
No, I'll agree with that. I definitely don't want another Kamala Harris. That's probably the only thing in this rant that I can agree with.
She says stuff about white institutions, so I'm trying to compare Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jamie Crockett.
But her entire rant, who said they're going to defund HBCUs?
Yeah, you're right about Trump, too. He funded them.
He funded them to the tune of like a decade, and because they had to come back every single year and beg for funding. This was in his first term. It's just the dumbest argument. And he said, why do you come back every year? Well, that's just how we've always done it. He goes, okay, well, I'll fund you out for like 10 years, right? Wasn't it like a decade that he funded them out? I think it was a decade. It's been a while since I read that story. But I remember it vividly, as vivid as I can. I just don't remember the time frame on the funding. He funded them out for a long time when they had to come back every single year and beg for money. And he said, nah, we're not going to do that. He's like, we'll stretch out your funding for like a decade. And she's on an unhinged rant, being blatantly racist against white people. Mediocre white boys. It's white tears. Again, anybody else does this on any network with any other race, awful. It would be wall-to-wall coverage on CNN. They would be issuing apologies if Scott Jennings did that on Abby Phillips' show. He would be taken off immediately. They'd go to break. They'd come back to the panel, and Scott Jennings would not be there. But this is okay. This kind of rhetoric is fine. If the Republicans were doing what the Democrats did yesterday at the U.S. Treasury, there'd be wall-to-wall coverage. They're looking for another insurrection. How dare they? They're so violent. This is Jasmine Crockett. This is a member of Congress from Texas.
They don't want any more Jasmine Crockett's, but I got news for them. I don't care what they do. We will fight to the end to make sure that we get our due. Because again, if you want to talk about the people that shouldn't be in this country, you probably need to look in the mirror. Because the last time I checked, the Native Americans who some of ICE have been rounding up, or the Puerto Ricans who are absolutely Americans, listen, the only people that came and colonized this place are your ancestors, Trump.
Oh, actually, fun fact, Trump is the only sitting president that doesn't have any slave owners in his lineage. Even Obama does. Isn't that weird? That's weird. And she brings up stolen land, Native Americans. Okay. All right. Got it. Okay. Sorry that I had to play that for you. But I had to listen to it, so you had to listen to it. It's 7:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
kids are all sick. We'll tell you what action some Middle Tennessee schools are taking. And there's evidence that public TV and public radio may be the next on the chopping block. Those stories coming up at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 7:56 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand in for Dan Mandis, who is getting his right eye done today. And then he's going to be glasses-free Mandis. It's a new era for Dan. No more squinting. He's going to be back
rubbing
tomorrow.
his eyes or, getting really close to the screen.
They say the procedure's pretty turnkey, just real quick, and he's out and he's back tomorrow. And he's going to be...
Then why didn't he show up today if it's so quick?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. But I'm reading all your texts on the text line, 615-737-9986. A lot of people are mad at me that we're funding HBCUs. Have you seen these texts?
No. They're
like, why are we funding HBCUs? They got to come back and beg for money every year. Shouldn't we just close the door no matter what institution it is? I'm not saying that I support funding HBCUs, but I'm just saying, Trump funded them indefinitely. If her argument is that they're trying to shut them down because they're evil and racist, that's not the case. And it's in response to Jasmine Crockett. Obviously, one of the most hinged leftists that they have. She is something special.
All right, who's worse, AOC or Crockett?
Oh, I think Crockett.
Think she's overtaken AOC?
I do. But did you hear what AOC said about Elon Musk?
Yes.
Oh yes, I've heard this.
Yes. So it's a beautiful segue, guys. Thank you. But yeah, they're different. They're different. I think Jasmine Crockett is worse, but that's not to say that AOC is not an idiot.
This dude is probably one of the most unintelligent billionaires I have ever met.
Well. That's AOC talking about Elon Musk yesterday.
Totally didn't revolutionize the car industry or anything.
No. And the rocket industry.
But right after she said that, you could tell that something flipped in her head to say, somebody's going to say I've really never met that many billionaires.
Yeah, I doubt she has. I mean, she's met the Soroses, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
This dude is probably one of the most unintelligent billionaires I have ever met or seen or witnessed. Which, you can probably even glean that from watching these people on TV.
Did she get the laughing thing from Kamala? Is that like something she picked up along the way?
All I know is I never want to hear it again.
Anyways, all of that is to say is that they don't do their homework. Clearly,
give me an example.
They're putting 19-year-olds in at the Treasury. This dude is not smart.
One of those 19-year-olds figured out a way through machine learning to decipher an ancient scroll. I'm not gonna even pretend that I could explain it. But these are the 19-year-olds that he's putting in.
And the danger in the lack of intelligence and the lack of expertise that Elon has. I mean, this guy is one of the most morally vacant, but also just least knowledgeable.
She struggles to find the words least knowledgeable.
Give her a thesaurus.
And morally vacant. Citation, please. Can you give me a source? She has no sources. All that to say, yes, I still think Jasmine Crockett is worse than AOC. It's 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, good morning, 8 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We've got 50 degrees now. Could have some stormy weather moving in later on today. Keep it here for the full forecast coming up. Well, so many kids have gotten sick in several Middle Tennessee school districts that they're closing the doors of the schools. Lebanon Public Schools and those in Houston and Lincoln counties are closed due to all the way through Friday. It's an effort to stop the spread of the flu-like illnesses so that authorities there can scrub down surfaces All of them are hoping to open fully on Monday. A man carrying his shopping bags to his car in the parking lot of the mall at Green Hills was robbed of those bags yesterday, and Metro Police say the robber's getaway driver ended up being shot and driving the car into a tree on I-65. Now, the robber has been captured. The robbery victim has not been found, and shoppers have been left shocked.
It's unbelievable that something could happen like that. I mean, a visit to the mall, and you get robbed, and then something deadly happening. It's crazy.
Yeah, that shopper speaking to WSMV. The bad news continues for USAID.
The embattled federal agency USAID has announced that every employee, except for core leadership and mission-critical staff, will be placed on administrative leave by the end of the week. Officials posted abroad are expected to be recalled within the month, as sources say the Trump administration is looking to slash the agency's employee count by around 70%. Shannon Kingston, ABC News.
And the education department, that looks like it's on shaky ground as well.
President Trump has campaigned on this. It has been a promise of his for years. And conservatives are saying that the Department of Education is just spending too much money. It has a budget of over $200 billion. And they say over the 40 years that the department has been open, it's been spending all of this money on students without the adequate results from the students.
ABC education reporter Arthur Jones II. In fact, the latest Nation's report card showed American children have continued losing ground on reading and have made little improvement in math, sending the U.S. to the bottom of the pack in the developed world. And National Public Radio, well, Elon Musk tweeted yesterday, defund NPR.
Let's go.
It should survive on its own. NPR and PBS's parent company, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, received $525 million in public funding last year. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who chairs the DOJ subcommittee, requested executives from public TV and radio appear before her committee next month. Market Numbers Report now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. About a half hour until the opening bell, and the Dow futures are minus 61. NASDAQ futures down 145. S&P futures, they're minus 20. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Looking really slow this morning on 24, the westbound lanes in Laverne. It's not really clear what is going on there. Priest Lake at Smith Springs Road and Rural Hill, that's a crash. Got another one, too, in at Ganbury Elementary School, Hill Road, at Hill Road Circle, a crash reported by police. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.807 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand in for Dan Mandis, who is getting his right eye fixed today by Dr. Horn. He's going to be back tomorrow with perfect vision, possibly a little eye goop. That's the word on the street. No eye patch, though. A little disappointing on the
I'm
eye
going to
patch
bring a
front.
spare just in case he wants one.
Good, yeah.
He let us all down, Chris. Don't worry.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing. I'll tell you what, the Democrats had an unhinged protest yesterday in front of the U.S. Treasury, and it was so bad that even CNN was mocking them last night.
Democrats agree that Musk is a problem, but listen to them today, and they have a piñata in search of a stick.
To our Republican colleagues, if you do not see the light, we will bring the fire. Resist!
We are going to be in your face. We are going to be on your asses.
We have days to stop the destruction of our democracy. We have work to do. Tell Elon Musk to take his hands off your money. We don't pledge allegiance to the creepy 22-year-olds working for Elon Musk. We pledge allegiance to the United States of America.
And goddamn it, shut down the city! We are at war!
We will win. We will win.
You know it's bad when even CNN is mocking the Democrats. They have lost the plot. They have lost full control of the narrative.
We won't rest. We won't rest.
Gretchen.
Yes,
So,
they need the Democrats need a real leader, okay? They need a real leader, which currently does not exist in the Democratic Party. And they have been caught completely flat-footed with the entire Trump presidency for the last 2 weeks and Elon Musk. I said on CNN months ago that Elon Musk would be the most influential advisor to President Trump, and that is proving to be true, whether you like it or not. But Democrats should have had a plan for this. They knew it was coming. We say this every single night.
Project 2025.
We knew.
The plan was Orange Man bad and shout racism. It's not working, but they are trying to execute that plan.
We just talked about.
We knew it. Trump has said all of these things were going to happen. We saw him align with Elon Musk, which may go down as the smartest thing that any presidential candidate has ever done, from the young vote to tech to a million other things. So Democrats needed to have a plan, and it may be too late.
Yeah, Bakari, are you?
It may be too late. It may be too late for the Democrats. How do they recover from this? I don't know if they can. And meanwhile, the Trump administration just keeps winning. We had Pam Bondi confirmed as the new attorney general yesterday, 54-46. And even John Fetterman voted for her. He was the only Democrat to vote for her. But that's a big deal. Make no mistake about it. That's a big deal. We had the Senate Intel Committee vote 9-8 to advance Gabbard DNI nomination to the floor. Party line vote. Next step for her is a full Senate committee vote. It's full Senate confirmation vote, and that's going to happen as early as next week. Then we had RFK. The Senate Finance Committee advanced him, and he's going to have a vote to confirm him by the Senate either in the coming days or probably next week. Then we got Kash Patel. His confirmation vote is happening Thursday, the 6th, 10 a.m. tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. our time. And we keep going. we keep going. Trump, I saw earlier on we got Fox News on the studio. At 2:00 our time, Trump is signing more executive orders. The strategy to overwhelm the left is working. They're trying to focus on what they can focus on, but there's too much going on. You know, Senator Warren, Elizabeth Warren, was losing it yesterday in front of the U.S. Treasury about Elon Musk, and she also was throwing a tantrum yesterday about RFK Jr., which is just awesome. I mean, I want the members of Congress to have to wear NASCAR sponsorship jackets. I feel like Warren's would just have Pfizer all over it.
Stated, this is not only about a private company that gets sued and has to pay out. Vaccine manufacturers often operate on very slim profit margins.
Which ones? How much did they make off the COVID vaccine? Billions.
If they get sued repeatedly and successfully, they simply move out of the vaccine space.
I thought if they were safe and effective, why are they going to get sued repeatedly and lose? I thought they were all good to go. Huh.
We've already seen this happen with vaccines in the past. 20 years ago, we watched vaccines just move away if they did not have protection from these kinds of lawsuits.
Why do they need protections if they're good to go? I don't know. I thought everything was safe and effective.
The consequence of Mr. Kennedy's ability to make those lawsuits easier is also the ability to shut down access and manufacturing for vaccines for every one of us. And I think that's a terrible state.
It's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea. She's arguing that Big Pharma should be shielded from lawsuits, even if the vaccine causes harm. Okay. That's quite the stance to take. I mean, I think it just shows that she's more on the side of Big Pharma than she is the American people. That's just my assessment, looking from this vantage point. Maybe I'm wrong. AOC doesn't think the Democrats should be voting to advance any of Trump's nominees. And she's probably pretty mad about John Fetterman voting for Pam Bondi.
The Trump administration is currently trying to get their nominees approved and voted on. No Democrat should be voting to advance Trump's nominees while all of this stuff is going on. There has to be a political price to pay, and we have a responsibility as a party to block everything that is happening while they're setting a literal match to the federal government and giving 19-year-olds classified access, potentially classified access to the U.S. Treasury Department.
Yeah, okay. We got to do everything we can. We got to resist. We got to fight. We're at war. I love how they keep saying these 19-year-olds. These kids are geniuses. And you know what they never really seem to talk about, the left, is, you know, all the money that was funding opium farming in Afghanistan, or the money that was funding regime change, or the money that was funding censorship, or DEI musicals in Ireland, or transgender operas in Colombia, or transgender comic books in Peru. They never get to what they've highlighted the money was going to, because they understand how insane it sounds. No American wants their money going to transgender comic books and DEI musicals. Ever. But, hey, they're setting a match to the federal government. That's what we voted for a little bit, you know. We're kind of looking forward to this. Now it's here. I'm honestly shocked it's happening as quickly as it is, but it's what we wanted. And elections have consequences.
So we need to start blocking every single procedural advancement on the Senate side in order to do that. And we need to be a pain in the ass. We have to stop playing nice in the Senate.
When have they played nice?
And block every damn thing that we can.
Okay. All right. Hey, that's your take. We'll just disregard it and we'll keep moving forward. It's 8:16 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time to check the roads. Thank you, Christy. 8:16 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand in for Dan Mandis. Currently 50 degrees, going to be a high of about 63 today. It's false spring. Don't get your hopes up. We also have rain coming later this afternoon and tomorrow. So pack an umbrella, pack a raincoat, and get one of those fancy things for your hair like my grandmother used to wear to church. That's my advice for you, especially the fancy thing for your hair. The Democrats are upset. They want to oppose every Trump nomination. We heard AOC talking about that a moment ago. And I just want to point out the same people opposing Trump's nominations are the same ones that push puberty blockers on kids. They're the same people that want your kids to have sex changes. They're the same ones that want vile books in your kids' libraries. Do we really want to give them any credence to anything they say? I don't. These are the same people who say, we can't appoint RFK to HHS. He's not a doctor. And then they'll have Bill Gates on The View, who is also not a doctor. And they'll consult him on health advice. They did that yesterday. Bill Gates went on The View, man boobs and all, to warn about the next pandemic.
Before COVID, you say you spent the most sleepless nights worrying about pandemics. After COVID, has that changed? And if it has, what keeps you up now? Because we all need to know.
Yeah, the pandemic, sadly, was fairly predictable, and it won't be the last pandemic.
Yeah, it's fairly predictable because as we found out, USAID was actually funding the gain of research in Wuhan. It was very fairly predictable. We funded it. Weird. That was a conspiracy theory. Not too long ago. Not too long ago. Yeah. Okay. Tell us more, Bill.
The next one could be far more severe.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. Perfect. Gain of function research is still going on all over the place. If there's anything that I want Trump to do is to put at least a pause, at the very least a pause on all this gain of function research. And we understand that there are biolabs all over the place. All over the place. They're in our universities in America. They're in war-torn Ukraine. They're everywhere. So it probably won't be the last pandemic. Is the next pandemic going to be another man-made pandemic? I think that's the question I would want to ask Bill Gates. The ladies on The View, they didn't think that was pertinent to the conversation.
I mean, this one, it killed millions. It was awful. We got the vaccine,
Hallelujah. Praise the vaccine. The one that didn't stop you from getting it or spreading it. Was it a vaccine? Huh. Weird.
President Trump's leadership was a factor in getting that out quickly. And so when I spoke to him, I said, okay, here's some other medical innovations, including a thing called an HIV cure that could be accelerated. Mm-hmm. So, we should be more prepared, both for a pandemic. I'd say that's still number one. Mm-hmm. You can worry about nuclear war. You can worry about AI.
This sounds like
plenty to worry about.
That's good. Just fear-mongering on The View. For those stay-at-home moms who are warped into just in a frenzy right now because of the Democrat Party. Thanks, Bill. Thanks. I love how he gives a shout out to President Trump there. And I just want to point out, President Trump didn't mandate anything. He didn't make you lose your job over the vaccine. He didn't threaten your job over the vaccine. That was the Democrats. These same Democrats who are saying we have to oppose every Trump nominee because they're lighting a match to the federal government. They're firing federal workers. Oh, no. These are the same people that did not care if you were fired because you didn't take a vaccine. These are the same people who went on TV and said the vaccinated should be rounded up and put into camps. That happened not too long ago. Bill Gates is on TV warning about the next pandemic. Unbelievable. It's 8:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Metro Council takes a new step to allow Nashville police to access private security cameras, and something to watch out for around Nashville today. That's coming up at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 8:29 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand filling in for Dan Mandis, who is getting his other eye fixed. He's going to be no glasses Mandis when he comes back tomorrow. There may be eye goop. There's a possibility of eye patches, but we're unsure at the moment. There is a 100% chance of Brian Wilson joining us for the cross here in a moment. We're going to have a drive-by with Brian Wilson. I like the name. I know Dan didn't like it. I thought the name was great.
Yeah, it works.
The name?
Yeah, the drive-by with Brian Wilson.
Oh, the drive-by.
I thought it was awesome.
It works.
It's catchy. So Brian's going to join us for the cross next, and then he's filling in for me 9 to noon. I know you're excited about that, as excited as I am. We'll talk to Brian when we return. It's 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 8:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We are sitting at 50 degrees now. We're expecting some storms to move in later. That's in the forecast still to come here. Fusus is back, the proposal that would allow Metro Nashville police to tap into surveillance cameras. That's back before City Council. A second reading of the proposal last night, where members said that the cameras already exist and the technology, which is called Fusus, is necessary for police to do their jobs. Fusus was shot down by one vote late last year. Some clarification now about Nashville's partnership with Fairfax County, Virginia, to share 911 services. In case of a catastrophe. Stephen Martini is the director of emergency communications, and he explains to Channel 4 why Fairfax County is being used in this instance.
We're in a different place, so it's not likely that we're going to be impacted by the same emergency at the same time. When it's snowing in Fairfax, it's likely not snowing here in Nashville. When it's rainy and tornado weather here, they're likely not experiencing that at Fairfax at the same time.
Now, if Nashville's 911 gets knocked out, as it did after the RV explosion on Christmas Day 2020, Fairfax would take the calls and then relay the information to Nashville's dispatchers so they can send police, fire, and EMS. Security preparations underway in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. Department of Homeland Security's special agent in charge, Eric DeLon, says that his people are on it.
This is going to be the safest city in America for this Super Bowl. We will have more federal assets, more federal law enforcement, more state and local law enforcement, probably than any other Super Bowl ever played.
They'll use helicopters, drones, and armored vehicles throughout the city. And don't be surprised if the road you take is blocked by protesters today. There's a group that's planning nationwide protest over the actions that President Trump has taken since he took office. The group is called 50501. They're planning to hit all 50 state capitals starting at noon today. That is the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. There is a crash in Rural Hill. It's on Mount View Road at Murfreesboro Pike, and then one also on Smith Springs Road in Priest Lake. That one is at Rural Hill Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.836 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand in for Dan Mandis. It's time for the crisscross, a hybrid version with a drive-by from Brian Wilson.
I like the drive-by. I threw that out there after you suggested it, and it felt like a like dead weight.
It was kind of went over like a fart in church, Brian.
Yeah, it didn't go over too. It was like, yeah, okay.
Moving on. Well, anyway.
Well, it's his show, so.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. We also got Joan Jones and KGB in here. What you been up to, man? What's up? What's new?
Well, this whole retirement thing is a lot of work. But I filled in once for you last week, and I'll fill in again today from 9 till noon. Trying to keep the rust knocked off a little bit, so I can still step in and help out whenever it's needed.
I like it, man. And the people say that you sound very good over hip hop beats.
Yeah, I noticed that. I mean, you started when I filled in for you. There was like, there's music. I'm talking. What's this all about? Well, I mean, I can't be against music. It's Music City.
You were flowing, man. I liked it. it. Do you love the hip hop? Are you a big fan?
No, not at all. But that's okay. That's all right. It's hard to find music that I really like these days. Country music is not the thing that I thought, the thing that I grew up with.
Yep.
And in West Texas. And pop music to me, it just doesn't have the same appeal.
You didn't think Beyonce winning the Grammy was noteworthy?
I just cannot. I don't get that at all. I don't either. An amazing talent she is, but I just don't get that one.
A country artist she is not.
Yeah.
So what's new, man? Where are you going today? What stories are you paying attention to?
Well, I like Trump talking about how he wants to take over Gaza. I mean, so let's just do a little list here. Did anybody have these things on your bingo card? That he wants to take over Greenland, that he wants to take over the Panama Canal, that he wants to step into Gaza and rebuild it. And have Americans perhaps stationed there. He said, we're going to control it. We're going to own it. Well, what does that really mean? And for me, a lot of times, I don't think it means exactly what he's saying, but he's laying down a marker. This is all, the art of the deal is what it is for me. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what does he really want? I got to tell you, he's had tremendous success. You got to be on. I mean, everywhere he throws down this strategy, it seems to work.
I'm kind of with you. I felt like he's just throwing it out there and saying this is where the negotiations start, and then the Arab countries that are neighboring Gaza go, wait. Do we want the U.S. here permanently?
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I'm not.
So maybe they'll step up and do what needs to be done. I mean, that's what happened in Greenland. Denmark decided, we don't really want him doing that, poking around and starting to say, we'll do the thing that he wants us to do, which is increase the security in Greenland. And so he did that. He's got the Panamanians undivided and rapt attention. Yep. And now he's using, I think, the same strategy in the Middle East.
Let's hope so. I mean, I definitely don't want boots on the ground in that region. That's a no-win situation. How are you doing after the trade war between Canada and Mexico? Are you everything okay with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I was really worried there for a moment that my guacamole was going to cost me more. I was, completely upset about that. But it seems like again, there's a perfect example, of what he's talking about. He throws out something that is, way over the top, like we're going to put tariffs out on you in a big way. And it all gets resolved. I mean, it's just him placing markers. And you have to understand that sometimes what he says he wants is not exactly where he's going to be happy to end up.
Yep. And then in the meantime, we still get these gems. Did you catch this at the press conference yesterday?
Go ahead.
Afghan suffered women as a high expectation from you.
Do you have any plan to change Afghanistan situation? Are you able to recognize Taliban? Because I'm an Afghan journalist, Afghan suffered woman. Any comment about Afghanistan? What's your future plan for Afghan people, especially Afghanistan?
I have a little hard time understanding you. Where are you from? Oh. Actually, it's a beautiful voice and a beautiful accent. The only problem is I can't understand a word you're saying.
Well, I mean, in fairness, the Foreign Press Corps does come into the White House. But did you see much of that during the Biden years? I don't remember the foreign press being such a prominent presence.
I don't think that the Biden administration faced as many questions from the press as Trump has in the last 12 days in their entire 4 years.
And it's refreshing to see that. And I would caution that perhaps what he needs to do is maybe back off a little of that. You can overexpose yourself.
That's true.
And I think that's where maybe some of the things that went wrong with Trump, where people sort of got sour on him in the first administration, was during all of the pandemic, when he was basically on 24/7. And I think people sort of got a little weary, and you can do that. So I don't know. Right now, I'm just loving all the winning. I mean, a tremendous amount of winning. And, are things going absolutely perfect every step of the way? No. I mean, some things you throw out there and they don't work perhaps the way you thought they were. But, I mean, boy, when you look at the things he's accomplished in such short order, it's astonishing.
Now, you had said that it really matters what he does in the first 6 months, right? 6 months to a year.
6 months is, if you don't get the major things done in 6 months in Washington, it becomes almost impossible. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but unless there is some kind of huge national event which drives people to come together and pass something of substance or a compromise bill, what you're likely to get, if you're going to get any of your key administrative goals accomplished, you've got to do it in the first 6 months.
Well, it seems
if you
like
don't do that, then you lose momentum.
It seems like he's done a majority of them in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, a lot of them for sure. Now, some of the stuff he's done by executive order is going to be challenged. Will all of that stand up in court? Not sure. Don't know. But at least he's moving in a direction that he promised to move. What a concept it is.
Promises made, promises kept.
To have a president who tells you, if I'm elected, these are the things that I'm going to do. And then as soon as he is elected, and as soon as he has the ability to do them, he starts to accomplish those things. What a rare concept that is in government.
Honestly. And then we're finding out more and more. One of the executive orders that's getting challenged is the birthright citizenship executive order. Where are you at on that? What do you think is going to come out?
Well, I don't know. That's an interesting one, because I look at legal scholars, that I respect, and they're sort of all over the place on this. I don't know whether or not that's going to stand up or not, but I would be in favor of it. But I just don't know that that's going to stand up.
If you look back at the congressional records, there's a senator from Michigan, Jacob Howard, who says in the congressional record, this is not for foreigners.
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware of that, but I just wonder, when you talk about case law, you talk about precedent. Where is all the precedent? That's what the Supreme Court's likely to look at. That's not to say that they won't overturn precedent, as they have, but I think that's a tough one. And I hear really respected people who have differing opinions about this, so I'm not quite sure where it's going to land.
Well, fingers crossed, man. I think that's one of the issues that we have with our illegal immigration is the anchor baby issue.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. 1,000%. I grew up in West Texas, saw it every day.
Yeah, it's got to stop. It's got to stop. But when you said he's got to stop taking questions, I hope he doesn't yet, because we keep getting these gems.
What do you think about Joe Biden signing on with the talent agency?
You got to be kidding. He signed on with the talent agency?
He does. He's got some entertainment agents now.
I think he's got bigger problems than that. I really do. I think he's got much bigger problems than that, but I wish him well. We inherited a mess.
That's like saying bless your heart.
Yeah.
Bless his heart.
I wish him well. We were talking earlier about where you think Joe Biden would land if a talent agent was going to book him. Where would you book him, Brian?
I can't imagine anybody would find it all that interesting. I mean, I'm sure they'll try to squeeze a book out of it, which he won't write. He'll get into he'll geese with somebody on a tape recorder for a while, and a book will emerge. So he'll do that for sure. But I mean, does anybody think that they want him to come out and be a spokesman for their particular cause? Right now, I would say no.
I feel like Life Alert would use him. Depends. Those walk-in tubs.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Yes.
That's right. Push the button. That's
Visiting angels.
Yeah, visiting angels.
Honestly.
What's
There
the
you
chair called to go up the stairs and down the stairs?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be good.
He definitely needs one of those. Could have used one of those on Air Force One. Wouldn't that have been great?
Oh, my gosh. You wouldn't have had to use the short steps.
Okay, what would have been better, seeing him fall or having him slowly on a chair go up into Air Force One?
If he was doing the little queen wave, you know what I mean?
Just not knowing what to do. He's just like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
The image of him riding up the rail to Air Force One is a hoot. Yeah.
It's hilarious. And Trump is going to the Super Bowl. First president to go to the Super Bowl. Are you watching the Super Bowl this year?
Oh, yeah. Got some folks coming over. Going to make some chili being made. Some chili and some. I don't know how you eat your chili. Chili's a controversial topic.
With spoons.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I put a big batch of Fritos in the bottom.
Oh,
yeah, make it crunchy for sure.
And then the chili on top, and then some cheese and some sour cream turned into what we call a Frito pie.
All right,
that's
okay.
I'm down with it.
And remember that great beef that we have at the Christmas party.
Yes.
Yeah, we froze one of those.
Oh.
And so that's going to be the meat in the chili. It's going to be great. Tenderloin.
I love it.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, I need spicy. And that's the thing with 4 little kids. It's like I haven't been able to make a spicy chili in a long time, but I like spicy.
Yeah, I come from West Texas where they claim to make pretty good chili. Everybody has their own idea of what chili is. I don't, and where are you on the controversial bean thing?
Oh,
because some people think the chili should have beans and some people think it should not. My question is not so much should it have beans, but what kind of beans? Because I like the pinto beans, but it seems that most people put black beans in their chilies. And to me, that's just wrong.
I'm pro beans, and I don't discriminate. I go with the black beans. I go with the Great Northern beans. I go with white beans. I go all over the board.
Beans.
All the beans.
But we're okay with it in chili.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I put some corn in there for color. I sneak in some carrots.
Oh, really? No, now you're getting into stew, and there's a whole different thing.
All right.
Since I've retired, I'm now cooking dinner 2 nights a week.
Oh,
that's the deal. I mean, my wife is a tremendous cook.
No, I love that she's getting you to cook.
Yeah, so we're working out the details. 2 nights a week, she comes home late, and so I'm going to have dinner on the table. So far, I did a pretty good stew. I got a roast in me. Did some we did some sloppy Joe mix this weekend.
All right.
So I mean,
You have her slippers ready too? Like, is it that kind
No, but she does. She gets a glass of wine when she walks in.
Perfect. See, you're a good husband.
We gotta get you a cooking show to do this. We could sponsor
Cooking
that.
with Brian.
Yeah, we get one of those mirrors above your counter, so that way you can have the camera pointed up and see everything going on.
Well, you know how I love my cabana wife, but I mean, it's really funny. It's like she said, so what are you cooking for dinner? I said, I don't know. You'll find out when you get home. And she goes, well, no. I mean, I want to know. It's got to be something I can eat. I said, well, I only make certain things. You know that. So, you're going to get what you get. And, you're going to be happy with it. But it's all this. Well, if you're going to do this, then you need to do it this way. That's what I'm getting a lot of. Well, it's okay that you're cooking dinner. You have to cook it to my specifications. And those specifications are way above my cooking ability. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, with the way your wife cooks, I'm not shocked. I mean, she's phenomenal.
She's awesome. Yeah.
My kids still talk about the cookies.
Well, and they're going to be, we're making some of them cookies for our friends who are coming over for the game on Sunday. Yeah.
What time should we be there?
Yeah. We might be able to get you some drop by.
Listen, I'd warn against Joan showing up. She's an Eagles fan. But,
Oh, come on now.
I'm not going to be as rowdy as that kind of a fan. I promise.
Where's your tolerance, mister?
No tolerance. Who are you rooting for, Brian?
Dawn is from Michigan, so she was really wanting the Lions to be in there. And since they're not in there, and I don't really have a dog in this fight. It was interesting to watch the Commanders, as they made their effort.
Does it hurt to say that?
I watched the very bad years under Danny Snyder, and it's sort of fun to see them come back alive. But we got to get our own business going when it comes to the NFL. We got to get this Tennessee Titan team straightened out.
Yeah, Dan was talking about a WNBA franchise coming to town, and somebody
right.
I was reading the text after that segment, and somebody said, "I wish we could get an NFL team."
Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be something?
And the Lions, man, I was rooting for the Lions too. Kennedy was born in Detroit. We spent a couple years in Detroit, and we loved it. Believe it or not, as all the problems that are there, we loved it. But they were talking about winning the Super Bowl in November, and I wanted to be like, guys, don't you remember who you are?
Yeah.
You're counting your chickens before they hatch.
Yeah, I gave up on the Cowboys and I gave up on the Redskins, and so I've been a Titan fan since I got to town, and I really enjoy it. But boy, I would really love them to get their stuff together.
Hey, Cabana wife would like to remind you that she's also an Eagles fan.
Oh,
really?
Yes.
Well, she has never revealed that to me.
Just now revealed.
Well,
I'm not sure I can go for that.
I don't know if that's fake news
I
or not.
can't go for that.
Is Joan manipulating us? That might be fake news.
Oh, come now.
No. Oh, really? Is she messing around with it? That's what it is.
Yeah, Joan. Joan has
I do often get messages from the home office, as they say, but usually I'm on them. So I think you're messing with me. Jim.
Well, on Nashville's Morning News, you know what we say.
Oh, no.
E-L-G-S, Eagles!
So embarrassing.
Let's go, Birds!
Let's go,
She
Birds.
kept going. That's the worst part. She kept going. She didn't correct herself. She just kept going.
Yeah.
If you're failing at something, you better fail well.
Loud and proud.
All right, Brian Wilson is on the way. He's filling in for me. Brian, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it as always. And Joan, one more time for you.
E-L-G-S, Eagles!
It's 8:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Covenant school shooters' full writings may soon be released. Also, the Postal Service does an about-face on packages from China. Those stories coming up at 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. It's 8:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand in for Dan Mandis. Dan's going to be back tomorrow. Brian's filling in for me today, but tomorrow I'm back in my normal spot, 9 to noon. And I have my friend Bo coming in. Bo was at one of the deportation protests in Dallas, so we're going to have story time with Bo. Bo wasn't the person that did this, but it was too funny not to play. A person drove past a group of anti-deportation protesters, so they rolled down their windows, and they turned up their stereo.
I'll solve it. Check out the hook while my DJ performs it.
Driving by deportation protesters, blaring Vanilla Ice is peak 2025. I love it. So we're going to have story time with Bo tomorrow. That's going to happen probably in the 10 o'clock hour. And then we'll cover whatever happens today. We got Donald Trump signing executive orders at 2 o'clock. If I'm a betting man, I'm thinking maybe this has something to do with the Department of Education. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll find out, and we'll cover it all tomorrow right here on Super Talk 99.7.